Well, it is again this kind of day of the week. It's a shortened work week, so I'm confused as to what day it is. Though it is Wednesday, we will call it Hump Day, even though Hump Day refers to the middle part of the week, and we're only in this work week. Today is almost halfway through the work week. Halfway through the work week. It's confusing anyway. Good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Kelly Knapp.
I'm Lee Barris.
And I'm the donkey man
There
in
we
the
go.
house one more time this week.
I thought he was
So
going to
you
just
fans
miss
enjoy it now.
Mrs. Q completely.
I know. It was
Didn't know
that
what he
deep.
was gonna do.
It was either a deep
Didn't
breath
know,
or a
yeah.
deep sigh. I'm not sure.
Well, I can do the Carl Childers thing.
Well, I don't know about y'all, but it rained around here last night.
Mhm.
From 8 o'clock last night through right now at the airport, the rain gauge recorded 2.11 inches of water. At our studios, the Accurite gauge picked up 1.65 inches since midnight, another 0.71 inches for the 24 hours ending in midnight last night. Most of that fell between 7 p.m. and midnight. In the southwest area, we just heard from one of our ham radio friends out there. They got a little over 5 inches. In Northwoods, they got about 3 inches since midnight. In Swansboro, another recorded a tad over an inch, though it was still raining about 20 minutes ago, so the gauge was still filling up, and more rain coming before this system moves on away from us. That's hopefully it'll hurry up. I heard a ding dong.
Avon call.
That's God calling.
I
Whose
hear it.
whose is that?
It's not mine.
That's mine.
Is
It
yours?
scared the heck out of me.
I've
It's
got
like my own business.
Bubba's over here for
I'm
you.
hearing a harp. Like, what?
Bubba is
I
over
know.
here for you.
Every time I hear it, I think it's God
I'm
calling
telling you,
us.
that's what it reminds you of. Yeah. Oh, you got one for
It
me? Thank
probably
you,
is.
Rayford.
These are known as Bubba knives.
Other night.
Bubba knives.
Okay.
Oh, I had one of those. I didn't know what it was called. Huh.
That's a Bubba fillet knife.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh,
a big
Let's
fish to
say,
fillet.
yeah, it looked like fillet.
It works on phones also.
Yeah.
Then if that doesn't work, we got the one that cuts the things in two.
Oh, yeah.
No problem.
Oh wow.
It also works on watermelons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Because you need something like
Well,
that on a
You ever cut a
watermelon.
watermelon with a fishing line?
I know, but I've seen other people do it.
I have done it.
I've got
And
knives
it's
on my
tough
boat
now.
always. So, but anyway,
Well, yesterday morning we talked about my Bubba
yeah, I
cup,
know.
and I brought it.
You bought
today.
that, so you got one
That's
Bubba.
Bubba.
My two Bubbas will outdo your one Bubba
Well,
in a
I know,
heartbeat.
but this thing, I mean, I told you I paid like $8 at
Yeah,
Walmart, and it keeps it as cold as a Yeti.
Well, we've got a daughter that gave me these Bubba knives one year.
Those are nice, very nice. I like the handles. They're like foam, or they foam or
Yeah,
rubber.
they're kind of rubberish.
Yeah, very
Perfect
nice.
with the water and things like that.
Yes.
Got an update on a story earlier in the month, one that did not get a lot of attention that I can recall. A home in the Rock Creek community off Gum Branch Road was destroyed by fire on May 7th. Y'all hear anything about that?
I
Onslow Sheriff's investigators say that the man who lived in the home, or had lived in the home, Teddy Taylor, poured gasoline on the house and set it on fire.
oh,
He was
my
facing at the
goodness.
time a criminal indictment for threatening his family members with a gun.
oh,
After setting the fire, the 43-year-old man then went to some other location and killed himself. A family dog perished in the fire. Taylor was married with 3 children. The allegations contained in the indictment happened a year ago, over a year ago. He was arrested in April while he was living in Fayetteville. Not been revealed when he actually killed himself or where it happened. That investigation is ongoing.
What's the family in the home when he set it on fire?
I don't, apparently not.
I don't remember
The dog
this.
was,
Well,
so
the dog
they-
was, which
they
means
either got-
somebody lived there.
I got a very sketchy report.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
That's the so far. So anyway,
That's
I
really
just
sad.
don't remember anything about a big fire or anything like that. So, and of course, and generally in matters of suicide, we don't cover them per se. So
Correct.
even if it had crossed the desk and it happened somewhere else and did not put 2 and 2 together,
Correct.
they wouldn't have gotten it. So whatever. WITN managed to put all that together. And I thank them for that. Saved us from having to go out and do it. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Absolutely.
Remember those ransomware and extortion schemes that were going around the country attacking local governments?
Yeah.
A couple of years back, about
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
One of those local governments was the city of Greenville. I didn't remember that. 2019 with an attack that shut down its entire computer system. Ooh.
I did know that because my daughter was at ECU during that time. So yeah.
I remember pieces, but I don't remember a lot of details about the Greenville attack.
Mm-hmm.
The international attacks netted an Iranian national a day in court. They caught one, and they tried him. The U.S. Attorney's Office says, I don't even think about this being right. I got Senior right. Golanagar Yada, whatever, was part of a conspiracy involving the
Was that a
Robin
word?
Hood ransomware. He pleaded guilty. He'll be sentenced at a later date. Hopefully, our justice system will make an example of this scum. Unfortunately, the maximum penalty is only 30 years. Not nearly enough unless it's served on Alcatraz once it gets reopened.
Oh, that was somebody's name you said. I literally
That
thought you were like
was-
clearing your word and making clearing your throat and making up a word.
No, I made up. I tried.
I don't know what
No,
the
I
joke
can't
is
pronounce
saying.
anything that goes GHOLINEJAD. No,
Oh, I don't know what that
That's
means.
what I
Just-
said.
Yeah, make it up. That's a good one. We'll call him Bob.
yeah.
Yeah.
Most City Hall computers in Greenville were offline after the April 2019 attack.
Mhm.
The same attack hit Baltimore, Yonkers, New York, Gresham, Oregon, and a number of other locations across the country. The cities ended up with tens of millions of dollars in losses.
Wow.
Greenville said their systems were completely offline for about a day, maybe two, but the ransomware impact was felt for months afterwards. Costly, a pain in the butt, but just imagine how dangerous. Y'all think it might be cute to interfere with the water department at the city so you don't have to worry about getting a water bill. You
It'll
say, I
catch
paid
up.
that.
It'll
I
catch
gave you
up.
cash for that. Don't you remember? It's in your computer.
Mhm.
No,
Mhm.
you might think that's cute.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not.
But just imagine how dangerous these were test runs. These were test drives of an automobile. You know that, right? Everybody should know that. Just imagine similar on all air traffic control towers, military installations, law enforcement operations. The possibilities are limitless. Think about that for a second. It's not just an inconvenience. People could die if two approaching trains are on the same track at the same time
True.
going towards each other.
Yep.
And have no way of receiving warnings.
Mhm.
They shut down communication systems. They shut down everything. Just imagine them rerouting a train to put two of them on the same track going at each other at 60, 80, 90 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the carnage. So these are not cute when they attack the government.
No, not
We
at
got
all.
anti-government people in this country. You know what? Go to Iran. They'll help you out. That's where this dude came from. I get a little bit ill about things like that.
Mm.
So you don't have to forgive me.
Well, I got two
Okay.
things here.
Okay.
One, so a Raleigh gang member just got sentenced to 14 years in prison for tracking fentanyl
Not enough.
through eastern North Carolina. It was federal, but yeah, he got federal charges. So
At least he'll do
he'll
most
do
of the time.
almost all the
Thank
14.
goodness.
He was a member of the United Blood Nation gang. But here's what he did.
Oh, really?
Apparently he's based out of Raleigh and he distributed fentanyl. He somehow got them here, but he trafficked them to California and Arizona from North Carolina and put them in Lego boxes to transport
Really?
them.
Lego.
Yeah, across the across state lines. When 2024, they found 100,000 fentanyl pills in his suitcase. He came back to North Carolina he resupplied and he went that time and got them in Arizona. And then he had in Lego boxes. So
Well, that's not suspicious. You get a gangbanger, and they stand out kind of like sore thumbs.
Yeah.
You know who they are,
yeah,
right?
carrying a bunch of Legos.
And he's
yeah.
carrying boxes of Lego.
Yeah,
Uh,
in his car because he
no,
drove it. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and no.
So
That's not suspicious.
Why not just put it in Tupperware?
yeah, I agree. Right? I guess he
Why don't
felt
just
like
mail it in an envelope?
Lego
One at a
boxes were
time.
not going to be.
Oh yeah, postage is a little high. He couldn't
Yeah.
afford that.
So, but anyway, so he's 14 years in federal prison, which should do good. Now, I want to talk about something else I saw yesterday. It might just be me, and I know y'all all are going to agree with me what I'm about to say. And I thought this was not a thing till I actually did some research, and it actually is a thing. Do you know there's a bunch of Democrats running around calling for the ban of the 4th of July?
What?
What?
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
heard that.
Yes, and
Are
they
they
had
from
this
England?
lady. They had this crazy lady on TV talking about, I better not hear not one firework. I better not see
Where does she
nothing.
live?
Yeah,
I know,
where
right?
she live?
I better not hear
We going
see any.
Can I get on your truck? We going for a road
I don't
trip.
want to see flags. I don't want to see red, white, and blue. I don't want to hear about anybody having a cookout. I thought, lady, why are you
Dang,
living in the United States?
I'm gonna get a grill.
Yeah. We need to
I'm
find out where
hooking
this
it up to
lady
my
lives.
feet.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm in, Kelly.
I'm gonna make
Yeah,
my own
I'll do it.
fireworks. I'm gonna make my own fireworks.
I remember
yeah.
one year, my brother had a
Oh,
that was a July party at his house. Lives in Northwoods,
I'm
and
going-
we were cooking out. That's the night I fell out of the pool.
Mhm.
But
What?
yeah, I told you about that. I fell out of the pool. I'm like Kelly. I fall up and out.
I would have went in the pool. But yeah, I do
You
fall.
and Biden.
I was in the pool.
Biden fell
Yeah.
up the steps 3 times on the same day
Well,
in 10 seconds.
this was a while back. Okay, I will admit there might have been a little bit of wine
drunk.
involved.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law and I, my brother was upset because they had bought fireworks at Walmart. We're shooting them off in the street. And JPD come up and said, we've had a complaint. You can't do that. And he goes, well, why can you buy them at Walmart if they're not legal? So anyway, my brother was really upset because the neighbor across the street had been the one to call. And I was like, who was it? Who was it? This would be me and Kelly in true fashion. So my sister-in-law and I got a bunch of little firecrackers. They weren't just a little pot. We put them all down her driveway. We set them things on fire and ran. So Kelly, I say we pack up. Let's go. Who is this woman?
Well, my question is for Democrats. And I'm not putting everybody in that category.
I would
'cause
not put
I'm
all
not
Democrats
lumping.
in that category.
But for I want someone, it's not even a Democrat, someone to explain to me why people are opposed to the 4th of July, which celebrates our independence. Like, I want,
I understand
thought
if you're from Great
process.
Britain, you don't like
yeah,
it.
but no, she's an American. She said
Well-
she said something like, and I'm paraphrasing, she's a liberal, she don't, as if, and she's an anti-Trumper. So I don't know if some people have gotten, Trump confused with being an American. Like I'm just confused. I just don't know. I want someone to call in and explain to me the rationale for any American citizen wanting to cancel the 4th of July of all things. I just want to hear your view. I'd like to know. You're not going to change my mind about it, but I mean, I would like to know.
I have experience, Kelly. We're going.
Do it.
I got the
Well,
surprise.
no,
You got a lot of people wanting 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
But the problem with this is you could tell because it was another guy. It was her. Then they switched to some other guy, not with her. With this, it's a mentality. Like I don't.
We need
understand.
lots of cans of red, white, and blue paint,
Yeah.
and somebody who can actually paint the flag. That would be good on her lawn.
I'd have it everywhere.
On her lawn,
Yeah.
or the roof. On
Yeah.
her roof. Oh,
You got
Fun,
you,
fun,
you
fun.
got so many people in the United States that are so screwed up about government. They don't know which end is up. Because my biggest fight is people, and I had this with my daughter. She said one time, Trump's just going to destroy our democracy. I said, Shug, we don't have a democracy. You don't even know what democracy is. I said,
Right.
that's a made up word. I said, democracy is nowhere in the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. We do not have it. And she looked at me. I said, we are a republic. Democracy does not exist. I said, that's just a word. Don't worry about it. Because if we did have a democracy, 51% of the people would be ruling 49% of the people. That is democracy. And you can't do that. I said, that's why we have, each state has 2 senators, and each state, depending on the population, has Congress people. And that is a republic. But you can't get them to see that.
no.
They're always talking about democracy. Everybody's talking, these young, especially the younger generation, talking about democracy. They never studied
Get
government
them to
school.
define democracy.
They can't.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
Democracy
Yeah.
means just mainly a majority. It runs by a
Where's your
majority.
paper and pen? You always have some paper there somewhere. I want you to, one of you to start writing these letters.
Go ahead, you write it.
And I want you to write it down one letter at a time and
All right.
read it as you write them. Okay? I want you to spell Democrat. What's the first letter?
D.
Go ahead.
So I just write down D?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the next letter?
E.
Next letter?
Am I supposed to be writing this
Yes.
down? Okay. E. M.
Next letter.
O.
O
Next letter.
C.
R
R.
A
A.
T.
T.
Now substitute everything from C forward with the letter N and cross out this crap.
What?
I need you not to. Where'd you?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I knew I was.
I knew. I had a feeling that's what he's about to say. But I mean, I'm just
All right, we're going to do
curious.
something before weather.
We are.
Lord, it
Okay,
makes
it's going to be
me
a little
scared.
solemn.
What?
Oh,
It's gonna be a little bit
yes.
solemn.
Okay.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
Happy Trails, the signature song of one of the singing cowboys from a bygone era. And by the way, that singing cowboy, Roy Rogers, the song that you just heard was part of the song with his wife, the Queen of the West, Dale Evans.
Yep.
And he passed away in 1998.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was only 86 though when he passed. I heard a friend, a very good musician, a star in his own right, sing a time or two. Happy Trails. Not sure I heard him on stage ever singing it, but in his studio right here in Jacksonville, where we had our radio station for a number of years, he would pluck his guitar and sing a verse or two at a time, just because he could, and he wanted to. He liked the song. We knew him, his friends knew him. He was our very own Cowboy Earl Jones. He performed on stage with a lot of big name stars as they were getting their feet wet in the business. He often talked of another North Carolinian, Charlie Daniels. He'd been on stage with him. Earl performed at many charity events, accompanied the live and local team, most often with one of his sons and fellow musician, John Jones, on makeshift floats that we put together in
He
Christmas parades, the Sneeze Ferry Shrimp Festival Parade, Christmas parade there in Richlands. That's kind of what his backyard was. Even aboard our boat in the Jacksonville Christmas Flotilla one year, performing live with a PA system that could be heard quite some distance away. We lit up the neighborhoods, the waterfront downtown. We did it all. And he and John performing. I love watching the crowds lining the parade route, dancing every time we approached on the float, every time we approached them with, the song that he played, Wagon Wheel. And these folks dancing to the live music as we pass by. A man of many talents, a man who taught young and old people alike how to play the guitar. I have no idea how many people in this area he taught, but he taught for 50 years, beginning in 1975. Earl Jones Music was a studio where locals could learn the basics enough to be able to play for their own pleasure. Most often that was the case, sometimes with friends and family at gatherings, even for those who went on to perform on stage. Cowboy Earl passed away on Monday after experiencing some health issues over the past few months. He's left us, he's already missed, but he will not be forgotten by our people whose paths he crossed at one time or another over the past 75 years of his life.
Yep. The last time we were in the Richlands Christmas parade, he rode with us, right,
Yep,
and
he
sang
did.
the whole
And
time.
about froze our little
We did. It was
backsides
cold.
off. But,
It was cold that night.
what-
I rode a horse. It was cold.
yeah, one of his sons, he managed to bring a heater,
Mhm.
Yeah.
put in that thing. I don't think he did it for us. He did it for his daddy. Good son. Good son.
The Christmas weekend that I was cleaning out the other studio, he came in and he must have talked for an hour.
He would talk. If
Do you think he can talk?
He was a
We-
talker.
We talked about,
Yeah.
about people we knew, places we had been. No many.
Yeah.
It's no telling how many towns our paths crossed.
Oh yeah.
Especially with the music at the Opera House and Chateau Madrid and a lot of the concerts down there. But he loved to talk.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put on a good show. He
I
and
miss those.
helped put on
Yeah.
the show at the
Right.
downtown Court Street reunion
Yes.
for several years.
Mhm.
Just a great musician and
Yes.
and a really good person. A good
Yeah.
family too. And
Yes.
He got a good family.
He loved to get around me and talk about his granddad and my dad
Oh.
and stuff. And I hope.
And some of the stories that he. had
Oh
to
God, we
tell.
both of them. And he looked because he was writing his memoirs.
Yes.
And he said, "I'm going to stop. Me and you got to get together because you know some stuff I don't know."
Mhm.
And
Maybe some
we
stuff he'd
talked-
forgotten, but probably stuff he
and
knew.
I hope he finished it because he
I don't
would
know.
call me. I'd be trucking down the road and he'd call me. Tim, did you hear about the story about so and so? Yeah, yeah, I remember that. And he was talking about this. And the most fun I ever had with him, we did a show at 30 Acres and a Mule,
Oh, I remember that.
and
3 acres.
he was up there on the stage, and we went around every store, Walmart, Roses. We got every cap gun in Onslow County,
Oh, really?
and not the old cheap paper caps neither. No.
No.
You got the good kind.
And we had all these youngins, and me and one more guy, we were let out of jail, and the sheriff was Renee McLaurin, and every youngin there.
I mean, you were let out of jail.
We
Let's
were let out of
clarify
jail.
that one.
Well, we had a jail there. Me and
Oh.
They had a
and
fake
he let
jail.
us out of jail, and
Yeah.
the sheriff, and we had all them kids there.
Uh-huh.
And they all had rifles and pistols and I remember Renee says, "Now you get out of town and don't you ever come back." So we get on our horse and we walk off. Now Earl's sitting up on the stage, and there's a mattress sitting right there by the stage.
Really?
And so we turned around and was running back, and them kids were behind the hay bales. And Renee hollered, "All right, deputies, get up and shoot them like the dogs they are."
Oh,
And they
Lord
stood
mercy.
up and they started popping them cap guns, and Earl standing there looking.
What in
Well,
the world?
I felt like I'm supposed to fall off the horse
On the mattress.
onto the mattress.
You missed.
I missed.
I just knew.
I
knew that was coming.
I hit a root and it knocked the breath out of me, and I'm letting it. And my horse is standing there looking at me like her name was Lady Diana. She was a Palomino.
Oh.
And she's looking at me like, "Fool, what are you doing?" And Earl's looking down at me, and
What are you doing?
and Earl kind of, "Are you all right, Timmy?" And I went, "Yeah, I think so, Earl." He said, "You gonna do that again?" I said, "No."
That was like falling out of
And
the
before
court.
it was over with that day, I got up and sang a couple songs with him and stuff like that.
Aw.
But yeah, it was fun.
That's cool.
And
Earl's a
Earl,
good guy.
every time he'd see me, said,
Yeah.
"Does your side still hurt?" So
Well,
I still got some of them old cap guns in the closet.
Oh, really?
I definitely think condolences to the family.
Yes, definitely.
Had a great family. He had
Yes,
a
they're a
great
very
group
good
of
family.
I
Yes.
found last night on our Facebook the last video that was done of him performing in the studio, and I was going to post that later. And
You
I
can do
just
that.
wanted to wait until things were
Yep.
out in the open. So I'll post that later today for those that would like to get a glimpse of our friend, Mr. Jones there.
Yeah, Earl, Cowboy Earl. I accused him of not having any cowboy boots, but he did have a cowboy hat.
Yeah,
He
did.
I
He said
told
the
him
boots hurt his
He wore that hat proudly
He said the
too.
boots hurt his feet.
I told him, I said, "You ain't no cowboy. You don't even which in the horse dumps out of it."
We always gave him.
And I called him Plowboy.
I didn't see him wear a hat much because he didn't want to mess up that
No,
hair.
he didn't.
had a
Oh,
head full of hair.
I've seen him wear a cowboy.
He had
beautiful
he
hair.
had a head of hair.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And not a piece out of place.
No, he didn't.
He had that sprayed
I took
good.
that seriously.
Yeah. He had that dip. No, he didn't use dip to do, but he had that swab, all you can get for $1
Yes.
hairspray. And I mean, they used to come in cans about 2
Uh,
foot tall.
Those, you know what those were made for? They were made for reporters, TV reporters
Oh, yeah.
who went out to cover hurricanes because they'd all get out in the middle of it. We had one guy that he sprayed his hair down. The wind's blowing probably 50 knots at that time.
Yeah.
He's standing up there and it didn't move, not a bit moved. I was like, really?
That's
What in the
not
world? He
realistic.
got there and I touched it and oh no, it was like it was
Yeah.
a plastic mop on top of his head.
No, I told you I
But
could tell.
Earl was, I mean, good God, he had stories up the yin
He
yang.
did.
Yes, he
It
did.
didn't matter. He had stories.
Oh, I love getting together with him. We
Absolutely.
talk about his granddaddy and
Yeah,
daddy, and
yeah.
and he always said, "Yeah, granddaddy invented cussing." I said, "No, he had some help." I said, "Cause him and my daddy would sit up at Dave Smith's store and pass the jar, and I swear they would cuss.
Yeah, and now the jar was,
It was water.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
you
I
know,
just
it
wanna
was
make
water.
sure
it
you're
was clear like water. But
real clear.
this is the good stuff.
You don't
This ain't
smoke.
that old
You
store
don't,
bought.
you don't smoke at the same time.
No.
Right, right.
Oh, they
Oh.
will try.
Charlie.
No,
It's Charlie.
We're gonna have to
we
wait.
gotta wait.
'Cause
Charlie,
we
we gotta
got
wait because
some
we got
things-
Dr. Rose calling.
We got a couple of things here doing. So
Yeah.
if you're listening, Charlie, you'll have to wait. Right
Yeah.
now, let's talk about the weather. Earl, rest in peace, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Heaven's a lot better place now that you're there. Small craft advisory is in effect through this afternoon. Again, offshore today out to 20 nautical miles. More of the same, 15 to 20 knot winds from the south. Gusts up to 25 knots, becoming southwesterly 10 to 15 this afternoon. 5 to 7 foot seas, except 3 to 5 near shore. You can expect some 6-footers about 8 seconds apart. It's going to be sloppy. Sounds and rivers choppy, diminishing to a moderate chop this afternoon. A chance of thunderstorms tomorrow. Northwesterly winds around 5 knots, becoming southwesterly in the afternoon. Seas coming down 3 to 4. Sounds and rivers kind of flat, increasing to a light chop in the afternoon. Light chance of thunderstorms in the morning. Friday, westerly winds 10 to 15 knots, increasing to 15 to 20 with gusts of 25 in the afternoon, 3 to 5 footers. Sounds and rivers again, a moderate chop. It's going to get choppy in the afternoon Friday. It's just looking not a real good week for boating.
All right, today, showers and thunderstorms, a high of 81. It'll be cloudy in between rain, and we're expecting almost an inch of rain today. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low of 68. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, high of 85. According to this, no rain tomorrow, but I don't know that I believe that.
I
So,
would not
No.
put
Yeah.
my money on it.
no, tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, low of 66 with a 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Then on Friday, 80% chance of showers and thunderstorm, high of 83.
And one of our listeners, Dale Town, said that he got 4.4 inches this morning.
For
Yes.
I knew it rained heavy
Yeah,
because the ditch beside my
that's
house
at the
was flooded.
presidential palace.
At 2:20 this morning, the
That's-
alarms were going off.
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
What
flood
kind of
watch.
Flood warning.
Oh, well, I slept right through
Woke
all
me
that.
up.
No, well, I
Slept
was
through it
already up. I wasn't asleep yet.
I was.
I may have been asleep, but I was awake.
Well, I know
Sitting-
the dogs started
not in
howling,
bed.
the alarms going off. I was like, oh, man.
Okay, let's see. We're waiting here for a call, and then about 2 minutes from now is when she normally calls in. Dr. Rosemary will be joining us this morning, and there was something I had seen that I was going to ask her. It might come back to my head between now and the time she calls, but I doubt it. I mean, you know how that is.
Let me see.
Do. What is
I'm trying to
what's going
think.
on medically? There was something weird. It wasn't involving kids, so I had not heard anything about it. We'll have to. We'll come up. She's got something going on.
I think we've asked her so much over the last
Oh
couple
yeah,
months. I think
I know. She's
What
always
was the
always.
story I heard about somebody. There was a group of people somewhere, and they all got sick. I saw it last week.
It's all
What was it? I
whooping
can't
cough is
remember.
one. There's a
We've
wherever
done
they are.
There you
measles.
go.
Around the whooping cough going
Yeah,
around.
something around some schools.
Yeah,
Right at home.
I don't think it's North Carolina, but
Mm-mm.
hopefully not, and hopefully wherever it is, we need to close our borders here.
We
in
talked
North
about
Carolina.
sunburn. We talked about the measles epidemic. We talked about whooping cough. We have talked about entertaining your children, during the off school months. I'm trying to see if that'll jog our brains.
Yeah.
Throw them outside and give them a water hose.
There you go.
That's it.
remember
Roy
those
Rogers
days.
was one of those singing cowboys. Who was
Yeah.
the most, no, you can't participate in this one. Who was the most famous, generally accepted the most famous singing cowboy?
Singing cowboy?
Singing.
Yeah, that's what they were called in those days.
Yeah.
Well, I understand.
Gene Autry? No.
Yeah, ding, 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 ding,
Yeah,
ding, ding,
I
ding.
started to say
I
Gene
did.
Autry.
I
Yeah.
got it right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to clarify something.
just-
I
it
gave
was
you
too
the wrong
easy.
answer on the Jeep.
On the what?
Remember you asked me
Uh-huh,
earlier
yeah,
about the Jeep?
yeah.
It was Clarabelle.
Clarabelle.
Not Lunabelle.
Right,
Clarabelle.
right. It is Clarabelle.
And I
I
can't.
couldn't, I used, that wasn't
I
right, but I couldn't
watched
remember.
it.
When you said it, I couldn't remember what it was.
I watched it the other night, and I got the guy's name that drove Clarabelle.
Uh-huh.
He was one of Roy Rogers' sidekicks. It wasn't Gabby or nothing like that, but I cannot remember his name. But he drove the Jeep.
What was
in
Gabby
the show.
Hayes on?
He was on Roy Rogers, and
That's
he
what
was
I
on
thought.
Hopalong Cassidy
Yep.
as Wendy. He was
Yep.
Wendy there.
Gabby Hayes, I stopped. I was coming back from Florida one night, and I was pulling my boat, and I already had one flat tire on the trailer. I bought a boat in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do that one when we come back here. This is Dr. Rose?
Yes.
Dr. Rosemary Stein. Good morning, Doc. What's up?
Good morning. I hope you guys all had a good, pleasant Memorial Day.
We were on the damp side, but I stayed inside and I fought the computers, and the computers won.
Oh, let's not even talk about it.
I guess you were in the Terminator.
I felt like I was being terminated. Let's just put it that way. Doctor, I don't know how much rain that you've had there. We've had a bunch. We had one of our locations here in Onslow last night got over 5 inches. Another got over 4 inches. From some of the amateur radio operators with their rain gauges or with their weather spotters. So they were reporting in this morning. And we got about 2 inches here from last night, 2¼ inches from last night at 7:00 till this morning at 5. Did you get in a bunch of stuff up your neck of the woods?
We sure have. It's been raining nonstop since Sunday night.
Now, I've got a question here, a sort of a medical thing that kind of came to mind. When this stuff happens, and it's not so hot outside right now. Matter of fact, it's into 68 degrees outside right here. So a lot of people won't have AC on in their homes. Things can get a little bit what they call moldy and mildewy, right? What kind of health hazards can that produce, especially when we have a whole week, which we're going to end up with a whole week of rain? Are there some things there that we need to concern ourselves with health-wise?
Yeah, well, the first thing is the obvious, the respiratory allergies and the nasal allergies that can be triggered. But you can also, that air kind of sticks to you, and so you can have some infections, so your sinus infections and bronchial infections as well. We tend not to think about those things, but once in a while you have the other kind of allergies, which is your body produces an allergic reaction against them, and you can even have hives and feel kind of sickly and decreased just mobility and activity because of it. So all those things can happen. So at the end of this rain, I don't know about you guys, but today, sometime in the afternoon, it's supposed to stop and might even get a little pretty. Maybe not sunny, but a lot better. Open those windows up and let that air circulate.
Yeah, if the
We're not having that here.
yeah, it's not around here. We're not.
It's going to be
open the
wet for a
windows.
couple of days. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a couple more
Oh,
days of this
sorry to
rock
hear
coming
that.
down. Yeah, me too. But anyway, we needed the rain for the gardens and the yards and all that sort of good stuff. But we've got enough right now. I've got enough. We need to dry some of this stuff out. The health hazards. How kids, little rugrats. If they're the same as they used to be when I was growing up, shoes off, mud puddles, here we come.
Yes.
We run through the mud puddles. We come in with sloppy feet. And that's not really good for kids or adults to have that kind of stuff going on, is it?
Yeah, it gets your body temperature cold. and it stays like that. So if they jump around their little mud puddles, make sure that before they come inside, they remove those socks and the clothing off of their bodies, and have a nice lukewarm shower. Get that core body temperature back up, because if you're prone to getting sick, or you're about to catch a cold and your core temperature is down, you may get pretty sick. So that's why it's important not to keep a child chilled for a long amount of time. Remember, the kids have a different body surface than we do, and so they keep that low temperature to high temperature higher for longer amounts of time and lower for longer amounts of time. And so that's where we want to make sure that their core body temperature is as close to normal as it should be after being exposed to the outdoors where it's cold, or where they've been to, mildewy, danky temperatures and weathers and conditions.
We've been talking for the past few weeks in preparation for the spring and the summer and the summer vacation, especially when kids are going to be outside. They're going to be doing all sorts of things, and maybe not doing and staying inside and not doing things they could be doing or should be doing outside. What have we not covered? I know we've covered sunburns and we've covered insects and all that sort of good stuff to prevent some bites and to treat some bites and to look for those bloody little tick bloodsuckers.
Well, I was thinking when you were talking about fungus and how they can make you sick and mildew, but I was also thinking these last few days, children have not gone out probably since maybe Sunday, Monday for sure, Tuesday. Well, that decreases the levels of vitamin D, sure, but really in children that can be quite bad. You need vitamin D to make foam. You need vitamin D to rejuvenate and develop your skin. You need it for your eyes, for your brain. And so if kids need a dose of vitamin D, since the sun won't give it to us, then make sure to have vitamin D oral at home for the kids. You can find it in those little pills. If they can't swallow pills, you can even give them the little liquid, and they have little dissolvable pills as well. But children today suffer from historically low vitamin D levels, just because they're always watching TV and staying inside instead of going outside.
Yeah.
But over the last 4 days, no kid has had any natural vitamin D exposure, which is really important. At least like a good glass of milk, because it's fortified with vitamin D, would be a good thing to think about.
I'm glad you mentioned vitamin D, and kids really do need to be thinking about that, because there's something called the formative years, as I recall from some commercial for a bread. Was it Wholesome bread way back when? And they said or maybe it was Wonder Bread, whatever it was. They were talking about the formative years, the ones that your kids need to be paying attention, because it builds a good foundation for their future adult lives. Those are very important.
Exactly
years.
Right. Yeah, no, that is right, and we're just not paying attention. Our parents used to pay attention to that, and that's why they would tell us to eat our peas and our carrots, and they would tell us that vitamin A is in there, and we would shrug our shoulders like we don't care. Kids are supposed to care. You're supposed to care. I get so many parents that say, "Oh, he won't eat that." I didn't have any such rules in my house. I ate whatever was in front of me, and it seems kind of cruel sometimes, but we got to show the example to our kids so that they eat the things that they need to in their bodies while their bodies are forming. So that is exactly correct. And we have to be the parent and not the child, and lead the child in a good way.
Well, my late uncle, I visited his son, and I were really close friends. We were cousins, but we're almost like brothers. Sit down at his place to eat, and he said, "Okay, here's your food. Now you can eat it or wear it. Your choice." So I did have a problem eating it, but I have to always remember that when I was eat it or wear it. That was his common saying. Now, vitamin D. I've spent a lot of time on a boat, and not as much in the last year or so, and one of my really good friends and former coworker, and we fished together a ton, and he's a charter captain. Now, We both were diagnosed with having vitamin D deficiency. What in the name of heaven, if we got any more sun, we would be burned to a crisp. Is there something that we actually need extra because the sun just won't do enough for us as we get older?
Yeah, I have to take a pill every week.
I was thinking about that because lately I have not seen a normal vitamin D, and I wonder about it. So
Okay.
you might have a point there, but I do think that our kids' vitamin D levels are very low because they're being kind of sluggish and sitting inside and playing video games. The other thing is that without vitamin C, vitamin D does not absorb well. So you need both of them together. So you can have all the vitamin D in the world, and it might actually be in your system, but it's not in your blood because it's not being absorbed if you don't have some fruits and some vegetables that have vitamin C, sort of like lemons, limes,
Orange juice.
Oranges, etc.
Orange juice by the glass every morning. I got it now.
You're diabetic. You're not supposed to have it.
You
Yep.
can't have it, but
Very important.
You can't eat it.
who? Why can't I?
Aren't you diabetic too?
No, I'm not
You're
diabetic.
borderline.
No,
I thought you were. Okay.
no.
Well, you drink that orange juice.
I'm borderline nuts. But
Yeah, well,
that's
we know
about it.
that. You're certified.
Okay. According to some people. I drink orange juice every day.
Very good. All right. Well, then your vitamin D level, if that is low, there's something wrong with the lab.
I agree with that too sometimes.
Sometimes I think that. Lord have mercy. I'll find out because I just had labs done yesterday and I got to go see the doc today to find out.
I just got put on CoQ10 because something was slightly low. And I was asked, would you take a CoQ10 pill?
You said, what is that?
Yeah, I did. And I take them. Okay. So I take a CoQ10. I don't know what it's
That's good for your
for.
joints.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I need all the help I can get. I mean, the Beagle sometimes just don't get it.
Yeah.
My joints, we're not talking about that kind of joint, Lee.
Tim.
Oh, God. Oh, Doc, I can't control this group. Okay, anything else? Our last week here or so of school for this season, this session. Anything else I
We
can?
got to keep our kids motivated.
Okay.
They got to get through this next week and a half. This is the week, I think the final week for their end of year testing.
Uh-huh.
You got to keep the kids motivated. You got to keep them going. You got to keep them a little active, keep them off their electronic devices so that they stay focused so they do okay and they can feel good about the summer. It's no fun getting to the end of the school year and you didn't pass your end of year testing and you have to spend the next 2 to 4 weeks in summer school. That's a real bummer for kids
Yeah,
and for their self-confidence.
now, when that happens, now, it's going to happen. Now, we as parents need to, not anymore, I don't, but when I was, we as parents need to understand that you don't berate that child because hopefully they're beating themselves up enough that we don't have to. But it's not going to be any good.
Said, it doesn't do any good at all.
Mhm.
So the thing to do is you got to keep a straight face and say it's not the end of the world.
Right.
We're going to get through this. You do have to attend these summer classes, and we're going to help you because there are some basic things that you might not have gotten out of the school year. And if you didn't get them at school, let's make sure that we do something so that you understand it and you're able to get to the next grade next year. Or consider if he didn't learn some of this basic stuff, should we hold this child back? So there's some things to really consider. If you look through what is a kid that's in second grade supposed to do, and your child did not do that, just consider: is this something that we can fix, or is it something that's better to repeat the second grade, or is there a possibility for the next school year to maybe find an alternative, whether that be a private school, a charter school, or homeschool. But don't just ignore it and say, oh, he's going to go to summer school, it's going to be all right, and then the kid has a big lapse that is impossible to fill in.
Maybe some sort of tutoring system.
Absolutely. There are lots of alternatives.
Yeah.
But putting the child down and saying, see, I told you to not be on the tablet, that's just not helpful.
No, that's not going to help. All right. Doc, thank you.
You're very welcome. You guys have a great week.
You
I
too.
hope the sun comes out for all of you.
All right, sun
Thank
sun
you.
will come out tomorrow. Was it a song like that?
Yes.
I'm not going to sing
Okay,
it.
Miss
Trust me.
Annie.
I won't sing it. Thank you, Dr. Rosemary Stein. To join us every week. Okay, well, our lines are now open again.
Yes.
I got 2 motivational words for the ones that did pass school. It's called tobacco patch. That
Oh, yeah.
motivated me better than anything else.
There you go. And if you don't want to spend the rest of your life doing it, you might want to study real hard.
I did find out some information on your CoQ10.
Okay.
Is an antioxidant that your body produces naturally that might help prevent or treat certain heart conditions, migraines, and diabetes. So the supplement is to help with that.
I take one every evening. I mean, I take one every evening. Because Dr. Hager
And that's
asked me.
from the Mayo Clinic. So
Okay. I'm going to do this
Trust that.
before we get to Charlie here. One more time. You got your ears on, right?
yes, I do.
Listen quietly.
Right.
Listen. You hear that? You don't hear it? You hear it?
Yes.
You know where it's coming from.
No.
That fan is blowing on his microphone.
Oh.
That's what I was trying to get to you. Now I had to do that on the air. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Now you understand. There you go. Thank you. Hey, Charlie.
So, can I give you my opinion about medicine when doctors tell you to take a medicine for high blood pressure, for schizophrenia, for
Everybody's got an
anxiety,
opinion, just like everybody's got something else. Go ahead.
Right.
So here's my opinion: your body is what it is. Your mind is what it is. Excuse me, hold on. I've
As he
been told for the
coughed.
last 20 years that I need to take high blood pressure medication. I've been told that I need to take medication for cholesterol. I've been told I need to take this for, I wouldn't say depression, because most of the doctors that I've spoken with, they're like, wow, you've got a really unique mind. You have ability to accept your life experiences. I think most of it, 90% of it is all garbage. I think they prescribe stuff. I think it's really sad and unfortunate. I was reading something about the COVID vaccine. Now they're coming out saying that women that are pregnant should not get the COVID vaccine. They're saying children should not get the COVID vaccine. They push this on us. I think 80% of the populace took the COVID flu medication. I'm not sure if you guys did, and I respect all. I mean, I think I respect you. Here's how life works. You eat a vegetable a day. You eat a broccoli. Maybe you have some nice chicken. Maybe you work out every day. Maybe you drink lots of water. Maybe you get lots of sleep. That's kind of pretty much, I think, how it works out. You guys, obviously, you can decipher who I am. I admit that I have a drinking problem, but if I don't get under control quickly, my life is over. So I got to figure that out. I just don't agree with don't take all these pills. Who are these people giving you pills? Who are these people prescribing you medication for different things that are going on in your life? That's just my opinion. I may be wrong, but I would love for someone to say, you know what, Charlie, we respect your opinion, but you are wrong. This is why this person needs to take this drug to conquer this potential disease that's going to kill them. So I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys.
Charlie, you have your opinion. You have your viewpoints. They're probably not shared by a lot of people, to be honest with you. Your viewpoints in this regard are not shared by me, having be the product of a heart attack when I was 49, I think it was, and
Wow,
48, 49. And then having a quadruple bypass a little over 2 years ago, and then another single bypass a year after that. And guess what? My lifestyle was pretty dang good. I've never smoked in my life. I eat really good food. I ate a lot of fresh veggies, and I ate a lot of fish, as you can imagine, all my entire life. I grew up on the coast, and I caught my own, and my dad caught fish. We caught seafood of all sorts. And we ate really good stuff. My grandfather, he raised pigs, he raised hogs, and we ate fresh stuff. We had fresh chickens straight from the chicken house. We went out to get them. We did it the right way. But I had a heart attack.
Can I ask you a quick question?
You're going to. Go ahead.
I'm going to.
There's no need to preface in everything you ask me. Can I ask you a question?
I know. Okay, you said you ate hogs. Correct?
I said they were available, and we had bacon. Yes, we did. But that's not.
I have nothing to back this up on. But I think that hogs, pigs, I think that they may contribute to things that slow down our natural, the things inside of our body to fight diseases.
Yeah.
I don't know what
And again, you have nothing to back it up except in your mind, right?
No, here's what. Okay, I used to work at this club in Los Angeles, and I remember they put a pig in the ground like you know what Hawaiians do.
Luau is what it's called. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So I worked at this club. I was like an assistant manager. It doesn't matter what I was. And I remember seeing this pig, and they brought it out of the ground, but it wasn't cooked properly. It had a horrible smell to it. Since then, I've never eaten pork since then. I just think certain things that we put in our body can contribute to negative things about our brain chemistry. I may be wrong. I don't know anything. I'm just saying, I don't know. But why? I actually went to get a marijuana license about 15 years ago, and the doctor said, you know, Charlie, obviously that's not my real name. He said, Charlie, I technically I cannot prescribe you to get a medical marijuana certificate because your blood pressure is too high. And I'm like, that's why I'm here. My blood pressure is out of control. And I'm supposed to be taking all these pills and all these medications. I haven't taken one. Ever since that incident that I told you what happened to Caesar salad, I'm supposed to be on like 6 different medications. I have not taken one. So what does that mean? Am I just like lucky that I'm not dead, or?
Yes, you will be.
One day.
Yes.
You might get hit by a bus.
Trying to like see
You know, for every example you come up with something like that, I'll come up with something too. You know, like my cholesterol was never high. I never had high cholesterol. Still do not. My blood pressure was never high, but I had a heart attack. Now go explain that. The doctors could not. I was not fat. I was not obese. I did not work out at the gym like the yuppies do. But I was on a boat. I was in the woods. I was hunting. I was doing all sorts of good things. And in those days, I walked 5 miles a day. But that's beside the point. I had a heart attack. Now, you're not going to explain to me how come. Nobody, doctors could not explain it to me. I had a guy that I used to see every year on 2 weeks vacation. We vacation at the same time. His family and my family did at the same time. And he was out running every morning on the beach down in Pompano Beach. He was out running. He was a picture of health. He was 35 years old. He didn't show up the next year because he died of a heart attack while he was running. No pre-signs.
Kind of the luck of the gin also. Isn't it just kind of the luck of the draw?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Luck of the draw. The only thing I know luck of the draw is where you get a lottery ticket or not, it wins. That's the only luck of the draw that I know anything about.
So can I ask something? I don't want to be invasive, or your co-host, that's their own private information. Do they take drugs to balance certain blood pressure or cholesterol or other elements of how their human makeup?
The most vulnerable in here would be Tim. But go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I drank.
You what?
I drank.
You drink what?
Well, alcohol.
Well, you and I have got a lot in common.
Okay, now here's the deal. I drink 1 ounce to 2 ounces of bourbon every day. My doctor says it's good for me. Well, that's your fault. But I'm just telling you, my cardiologist told me that was fantastic. He said, you can control your drinking. I said, yeah. So when I come home, I take my Diet Mountain Dew, and I have a little 2-ounce dram glass. I pour it, put it in the big glass with the ice, and I pour my Diet Mountain Dew, and I have it with my supper. Most of the time. Sometimes I don't even do it. Now, I do take a cholesterol pill, but I have no cholesterol problem. I've had bypass surgery. In fact, my bypass surgery, when I had it, they said it only lasted 20 years. It's been 22. And when my 20-year anniversary was up, I went, all right, doc, my 20 years is up. Are we going to have another one? I did nuclear stress test. They came in there and says, the way you look, we don't think you ever have to have another one. We don't think you will. Now, I can have a heart attack at any second.
Change overnight.
Yeah, it can.
We all know
But I live for the day. I live for the day. I'm sitting here with Rayford that I think a whole lot of. I'm sitting with 2 beautiful ladies. Hey, my day's already started good. So, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm thankful for getting up every day. I'm thankful for getting to work. I'm thankful for hauling that heavy equipment that a lot of people get scared about. And I'm thankful for my horses, my mules, and my donkeys, and most importantly, I'm thankful for my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I love St. Diane. And in fact, we were up at 5 o'clock this morning because a coworker is retiring at where she's at, and she wanted to. Nobody wanted to do anything. She spent yesterday, the day before, getting up. She made her a basket. She got her a cake. She did all this. Today is this lady's last day, and she did all this herself because that's the way my wife is. And I got it this morning and helped her load it up in the truck. And I'm thankful for what I do and what I am. That's all
Hey,
I
Chris,
can
can I
tell
ask you a question?
you. Yeah.
Has alcohol ever affected your life or your loved ones' lives?
Yes.
So how did you deal with that? What advice would, okay, so I
day by
have an
day.
alcohol problem.
The alcohol
So
problem?
how did you fix that?
How did I fix it?
He stopped
Yeah.
drinking.
I quit.
Yeah.
I looked one day and said, hey, this ain't me. There's more to life than what I'm doing. So I stopped. I just quit. I went 15 years and didn't drink anything stronger than tea. 15 years. And the only reason I started back, my health was bad. My blood pressure was terrible. My cholesterol was terrible. And I got thinking about an aunt of mine. Her name was Aunt Betty. And she took a 1 ounce shot of old granddad every night before she went to bed. Or if she didn't have that, she would take a shot of moonshine.
Mm-hmm.
She lived to be in her 90s. I don't ever remember Aunt Betty being sick. She dipped snuff all day long, made some of the prettiest cat head biscuits you will ever eat in your life. And she watched her stories every day, the days of our lives. In other words, I don't care what was going on, but when that come on, she was in her rocking chair and she watched her stories.
And Charlie, there were never many cats hanging around the neighborhood.
No, sir. But
Yeah,
I got to thinking about her and I went and got a bottle.
in
And
my whole life, I've never, first of all, very respectfully, I've never met anyone like Tim.
There isn't one.
I'm 64 years old. I was raised up around the back of farms. Yeah, I'm a baby. I hear you talking. I was raised up around the back of farms. I was raised up around a bunch of older people.
I don't want to ruin this conversation.
And
Thank you for taking my call. You guys have a good day.
All right, thank you, Charlie.
Okay. But I did something that most kids don't do now. I listen to them old people. They didn't get to be that old by being stupid.
There you go. That is the point
And I
that I
listen
keep
to 'em.
making to people all the time. I've made it to this new little kitty cat that we got around here. I said, listen, Stormy, Evan is 19 years old.
Yeah.
He got to be this old for a reason.
Mhm.
Don't go picking on him.
Mm-hmm.
You might be really regretting your life if you do, because he's been there. He's got that T-shirt.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a story for Kelly.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready, Kelly?
Yeah, because
You
then I
don't
got
like
one for
this
you.
one?
Let's hear it.
Yeah, the Secret Service has confirmed the suspension of 2
I saw it.
on-duty agents
Yes.
who got into a huge
Cat
fight
fight.
outside
Yes.
former President Barack Obama's sprawling
I
Washington,
wish I
D.C.
could have
mansion.
witnessed that.
2
Yes.
female officers of the Uniform Division got into an altercation. 2 females now
Mhm.
at 2:30 a.m. in the upscale neighborhood on May 21st.
They called for a supervisor.
Yeah, surveillance footage first obtained by Real Clear Politics and published Tuesday shows
Mhm.
the security detail dressed in bullet-resistant vests, good thing, violently shoving each other next to a white vehicle.
Now, you know what
outside.
sparked it all? Let me tell
Yeah,
you what sparked
let
it
me
all.
tell you. It says multiple Secret Service sources told the website that the tussle broke out after one officer became irate with another officer who was several minutes late replacing her on a shift. It was heard, she said, "Can I get a supervisor immediately before I whip this girl's?"
Uh-huh.
One of the officers can be heard saying in an audio. Now, you talk about a cat fight, 2:30 in the morning.
You do know that
She's ready to go
Obama's
home.
wife was there egging him on, right?
I don't know that, but
Well, that's what I heard. I read it on the internet, right beside the stuff that told me never to take any pills.
Yeah. Giddy.
2 feet. I would have paid to have seen
I
that.
would
Well, you
love
can
to
get it
watch
for
that.
free now. We'll get it.
You're a minute late.
Well, there's
I'm gonna whoop your.
Uh-huh.
Well, I got two things. First of all, Lee, did you see SpaceX blew up again?
Yes, I watched it all the way
So,
to the end.
Y'all know I've told you this a million times. My grandson's all about SpaceX. I don't know why. He watches all the launches. Well, this thing, look, I'm gonna need Elon to get it together.
Well, I
because
will say though that this went a lot further, and they made more advances in
it
this.
still blew up.
First of all, it was the
Hey,
booster.
He, after twice exploding, he launched it last night. It blew up again, broke apart. And he said, well, I'm going to speed up. We're going to do it more frequently because he's trying. Now, who would want to get on one of his ships to go to the moon or Mars?
Do you know this new rocket that he has built that went off last night? First of all, went a lot further, and then they had their detachment where the booster
It still
detachment
blew up.
But listen, did you read about this thing? It can
Yes.
hold up to 100 people.
Okay. Once again, where are
None of them.
any
would've
of
made
y'all that listen to us actually
It's
going to
the third
volunteer
one,
to
right?
ride on one of these ships that he keeps blowing up?
it. It's not
Well, the
volunteer.
thing about it is,
They'll pay him to ride it.
they put new heat-resistant tiles on this one
They're
to
not
test
working.
it. No, it did. The tiles worked, but what happened was
They had a fuel leak.
It blew from
Booster.
inside.
It had a fuel leak. It blew up and broke apart.
not this time though. This time the booster detached like it was supposed to.
Yes.
And as it was coming back down and reaching its entry point, that's where it just fell apart. So they kind of expected that. But then the rocket itself got up there, and when it was supposed to be coming back down because it was not staying up there, it was just a test to put it up there, it started going wonky and
Yes,
disintegrated.
due to
But
fuel leaks. I'm reading it right
Yeah.
now. What out of control due to fuel? Once again,
last night they weren't saying that.
yeah,
so
that's what
this
it's saying
is
right now.
additional
And
good.
Was that the booster or the other part?
it's just
The
saying that
rocket or the
the
booster.
They
hold
must-
on, I'll tell you.
They must
The
have been using-
spacecraft. So the rocket
So the
itself,
rocket
once
itself, yeah,
again,
so the spacecraft.
blowing up again. And so what does Musk come out and say? I'm going to start doing them more frequently.
Yeah.
He is determined to put people on the moon and Mars.
I,
He wants to
I
put them on
can't.
Mars.
Strongly
just
suggest
Don't
Elon,
do it, folks.
get yourself a better set of rubber
Yes,
hoses.
See, what
That's
you
I'm
don't
saying.
understand is
That if it's leaking fuel, then it's probably had some ethanol through that government
these
sanctioned
are
ethanol
tests. These are tests that these are tests, and each test they learn more and more. And what they're trying to do, it like took 90 million to make this, but what they're doing, and the booster has been reused several times.
fuel. Not
So
anymore.
that's what they're trying to do is build rockets and boosters that they can
But hold
reuse
up.
over, which only cost
Maybe-
1 to
maybe
2
They
million.
better quit getting their O-rings from Mr. Gasket.
Well,
You
here's
have to
Remember
understand, these are all tests.
Whose ship was it that got our astronauts stranded up there at the space station? Was it one of his?
That was
or
Boeing. I think
NASA?
it was. I think it was Boeing.
Okay.
It was
Well,
made by
that says a lot
Boeing.
right there.
It
Okay.
was one of Elon's that went up and got him
Well,
back.
finally, I don't know why it took as long as it did, but that's
These are all.
They didn't want to get aboard it.
I know it's just.
so you can't blame.
I know it's all
I'm
disappointing.
doing fine up here, and
Yeah, I'll
they're
stay
feeding
on
me, and yeah, I'm missing Christmas,
Yeah.
but I got to no. I'll
Space
wait.
scares me. And I might be the only one at this whole table that is afraid of space. I'm afraid of space. It is just.
I'm not going there.
It's infinite. Like even when I watch movies about space, it causes me anxiety. Like
Yeah.
it's
I know
just so
counselor.
infinite. There's nothing there. I mean,
Don't.
look.
Katy
I'm all about
Perry
astronaut.
would be so disappointed in you, Kelly.
I'm gonna
Katy
be.
Perry can.
I'm going to be your counselor. I can help
I
you
need
out
to
with
watch
that.
my butt. Yeah.
I can help you out with that.
What?
Go to the TV station WOFF,
Yeah.
and you won't
Yeah.
have to watch those movies.
I mean,
I will say it was disappointing because I watched it all the way. I watched it from the moment it set off. I watched the Seco, the Miko, the
what?
pairing. It all has to do with de-pairing and all that kind of stuff. I watched every bit of it up until first the booster.
And now
and
you're getting a friend request from a space cadet.
And
Yeah.
I know it.
The commanding general is space
answered
cadet.
me yet. We're doing a test.
okay. And the other thing is, so I know everyone's heard this by now, and maybe you hadn't, that Trump is pardoning Todd and Julie Chrisley. And I'm all about it because I love them personally.
Me too.
Why?
I'm trying to understand why people are so up in arms about him pardoning them.
Okay, let's
Because
bring
it's,
us up to speed.
I've got a
Tim-
list.
Hold on. Tim and I, we don't know nothing about this thing, do we, Tim?
They
Nothing.
are a
So who are they and why are they in jail?
Enlighten me.
All right. Todd and Julie Christie were a reality TV family. He is also real estate
They
from
did something wrong.
Margot. Bank fraud,
Uh-huh.
money fraud.
So they're felons.
Yes,
They
they
were
got
convicted of being a felon.
convicted. Yes,
Uh-huh,
and
okay.
they went to prison in 2023.
Oh, they haven't been there very long.
Yeah, he got
I
12
guess
years. She
another
got like 7.
Wait, yeah.
So anyway, so yesterday Trump announced that he was full pardoning them. She was out of prison in Florida and he was in Kentucky, or vice versa. I forget which
They
one.
were separated.
Yes, completely. Well, anyway, his daughter worked very hard to try to get him released, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And ever since that came out yesterday, people have been losing their minds.
Oh, well,
Calling Trump all kinds of
are
names.
there other people in prison who've done the same thing?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question.
knew
So
I was
I
gonna
pulled
get
up a list of Biden's pardons from April 26, 2022 to current. So some of the things he pardoned people for. Now, these are things that they were convicted of in prison, okay? So, and this is throughout the United States. Possession with intent to distribute 736.9 grams of crack. Secret Service agents solicited money to commit fraud. I don't know, maybe like extortion or something. I don't really know. I'm skipping off some of the ones that are just ridiculous. I can't even believe they got charged with that. Illegal use of communication to facilitate cocaine, unlawful cocaine transaction. That must
Why
be
would
in,
you pardon them?
Biden did it. Conspiracy to distribute marijuana, wrongfully using 3.4 methamphetamine and then underage drinking. This guy was in the Air Force. Second degree murder while armed. I don't know what that means. While armed, like I'm confused on that one.
If it just beaten them to death, it'd have been okay.
I don't know, but wouldn't you still be armed with a bat? Does
Beat
armed
them to
mean?
death with your hands.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, this person got Biden pardoned her. It was a woman for that. Possess, sell, and transfer 12 gallons of distilled spirits without tax stamps.
Ooh,
People actually get arrested for that. Okay.
yeah.
Manufacturing marijuana and renting a place to do it. So then in 23, that was all in 22. My 3 favorite ones were 3 people, one out of New York, one out of Michigan, one out of DC. Conspiracy to unlawfully give goods to Iran and to United Arab Emirates and to defraud the United States, and conspiracy to act as an unregistered agent of a foreign principal.
I cannot justify any of those pardons that Biden gave. Okay.
Okay.
But let me ask you this now:
Yeah.
what are the grounds that Trump is pardoning this pair?
He said, and I quote, well, they've had a couple of appeals, and he called it, he said, mistreatment and,
What do you mean mistreatment?
well, they
in prison.
in prison they've had some mistreatment.
Oh,
and
everybody in
and
prison
failure,
is mistreated.
they there were some errors in the sentencing, but that's just what he said. I'm issuing a
That's
full,
in his opinion, right?
yeah, full and complete pardon. And he talked about harsh treatment they received, and that's it.
I will say,
Basically, what they did, they took out fraudulent loans. Yeah, about $30 million worth. They falsified the paperwork,
yes,
is what I understand.
failure to pay
And what did they
taxes.
do with the money?
Bought like property and stuff with it, jewelry, and I'm assuming.
I will say what they did was wrong, but
I
I
agree.
feel like, in my opinion, that their sentencing was way too harsh.
And yes, something Trump did say about that. And and an appeals court actually, at one point,
yes,
said that her sentence wasn't right.
Was it within the prescribed time frame that you could be sentenced for? Did it go outside the parameters of what the law says?
I think a little bit. I think that's what hers.
yeah.
They had a problem with her. A court, not a lower court. I guess a lower court.
There
not
was
Supreme
some politics involved.
There
in
was
this.
definitely
I
politics.
don't care about the politics.
Well,
Did
no,
they
it did make a
were-
difference.
Were they convicted of a crime that they committed?
Yes, they were.
And the sentence that they got was within the parameters of what the judge said that could issue the sentence, right?
This whole thing started
would think
with the
so.
IRS.
No.
I understand the
Yeah.
IRS. IRS screwed. I understand all of that, but they were guilty.
Well,
And
all
they
I've
were-
got to say
they were
is I'm
legitimately
all
sentenced.
for their pardon.
Okay, well, good.
If
If Biden had
Kelly and I
pardoned,
gonna be watching.
If Biden had pardoned him, would you be in favor of it?
yes.
Yes.
I doubt it.
No, seriously, because like Kelly and I were talking earlier, we're familiar with the family. We've watched
I
them for
watched
years
their
and
show,
years
yeah.
and years. Yes, they did do wrong. Yes, they were found guilty and they were sentenced. I, in my opinion, think that the sentencing was overdone. I think there was a lot of political motives in this, and they were huge backers of Trump at the time. And so, just my opinion, but
Well-
when I see some of the people like Kelly read in the list, some of the people that were pardoned, and you know, I
Well,
have
Biden
to.
pardoned a guy for smuggling. I can't pronounce this guy's name. I ain't gonna attempt this. And then there's pardoning his own son, which I don't agree with. I mean, I don't agree with. And the only thing that Biden, there's a long list of things.
Were there any people on his pardoning list, and there were a couple thousand, right? That he pardoned that you would have agreed with?
For the pardoning,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
You would agree with them.
there was a couple. I was like, yeah, they should have been pardoned.
Why? They did not do the crime?
I think there's people I think they had served enough of the time. Like the person, false claims against the government, and they got a year's probation, and then they got pardoned for it. That's weird. From 1992, I'm not sure. I'm assuming that's just a wipe off your record.
Yep.
It would have to be. Use of a telephone to facilitate the commission of a narcotics felony.
That's illegal.
Yeah, mail fraud.
Probably a cell phone that they used.
Mail fraud would be sending stuff through the mail.
Bank theft. A lot of drugs. Bank embezzlement. What's the difference? Conspiracy
Somebody working
to
on the inside to steal the money.
theft of government property. The ones I have a problem with him doing is pre-pardoning people like Francis Biden, James Biden, Sarah Jones Biden, John Owens, and Valerie Owens for any
We all know about all of that.
for things that
Yeah,
that I have a problem with.
That's
Yeah, Fauci, I have a problem with him.
now here's the thing that
He got
with
pardoned
Trump
before he even
stuff,
got
with Biden
charged.
stuff, his pardon. I want y'all to listen and think about this for just a second. If they come down to prove that Biden did not actually authorize those pardons, he didn't sign that piece of paper. It was an auto pen, and if they come up and say, he wasn't coherent enough to do that, somebody else actually did that with his auto pen, then those pardons can be reversed because they were not legitimate pardons.
Good, no,
Well, you know what?
really.
Think about that for just a moment.
We talked about that one morning.
Well,
I
makes
brought up
sense.
about the auto pen. Who was using it? And you were like, no, Biden.
If they use
And
an
I'm
auto
like,
pen under normal conditions, and Biden is a coherent individual and he agrees with all this stuff, in other words, we're going to have a bike sale on this Saturday. Go ahead and handle that, Joe, and put my name on it, and we're good to go.
I don't believe
But
that should be done.
But if you're going to be pardoning a guy that has got the nuclear, has done whatever some of these people have done that they did, no.
How do they get the names? Do they just pull them out of a hat?
No,
I'm just curious.
no,
Like
no,
people,
no.
people call in
yeah.
and say, okay,
We've
I've
tried
got
everything
Rayford sitting in
else.
jail, and
No, we've
okay.
tried everything else. We've used you got to understand, we've used all other possible legal possibilities. We've been through it, and they all say no. In other words, these people are justly convicted and justly sentenced, and you're the only person that stands between them and them actually having to pay the preacher.
Well, then I got some I need to contact Trump for.
There you go.
I
I
do
help
have
you.
somebody for that.
Let's do it.
Oh,
Now, the
God.
other thing is something I was going to ask you. And the other thing that Trump pardoned is he pardoned that sheriff.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know exactly
Which
what that guy-
sheriff?
the one in Virginia that took the bribes or something. He was convicted of bribery.
Yeah. Don't.
Um,
That's a bad.
Yeah, I
I don't
remember. He
remember
was
that
sentenced to
one.
10 years for
Mm.
federal bribery charges. Trump is claiming it's politically motivated. Yeah, I don't know about. I don't know. I don't think bribery is
Just using that claim.
Yeah.
It's all politics. Everything is politics.
Well, I
But
agree with that. Everything
but
is politics.
that's not an
You
excuse
just
to
said
violate the
no
law.
when we brought that up about the
Trooper, you
Chrisleys.
stopped me because you saw that I had a Biden, that I had a Trump sticker on the back of my
Oh,
car.
no
You stopped me
stickers.
and gave me a ticket. You wouldn't have given the other guy a ticket if he had a Biden sticker, would you?
Well, my mama had the news.
That's
on.
the kind of stuff we're screaming politics. No,
You think I should get pardoned for using non-highway fuel running up and down the highway if I get caught?
You shouldn't even be. That's. Yeah,
I'm just saying.
yeah. That shouldn't even be. You shouldn't even be charged with that.
Oh, charge?
Or arrested.
IRS will put you in. prison.
IRS needs to get their act together.
But
for a
hey,
whole bunch of reasons.
they're out there checking
Yeah.
fuel now.
That explains why on the way back from Georgia on Monday, there was a lot of trucks being pulled over. Are you serious? They were seriously checking for fuel?
It was also a Memorial Day. It was a
Yeah.
holiday, and there's certain rules that apply on.
I was just happy
holidays, too.
95 had
Well,
no construction.
They
It was awesome.
they
Just
had
saying.
a crackdown. Where were you at?
South Carolina,
Okay.
near
They're at-
Buc-ee's, you know what I mean? Like,
North Carolina, South Carolina has
Yeah.
a crackdown job going on. And
Oh,
they're
they
cracking
had-
down. Yeah.
well, they were getting it. I'm
Yeah.
going to say it. They were
I've
getting
seen
it.
them. I've seen them between Florence and Columbia doing the same thing on a regular basis. If you
Yeah.
have that neck of the
And
woods.
what they're doing now, since it's been enacted, they are stopping trucks to see if you can speak and understand English. That is, Arkansas started that. It's been a law for years. But now the federal government has reenacted that law, so you will enforce it, and they're doing it. They hired over 30 plus officers in South Carolina just for trucks.
Mhm.
And then they're stopping and say, read this. If they can't read
A
it,
rut row.
you're out. You're fine. The company's fine. The truck is parked. Also, the crackdown is going on is about these dump trucks not using their tarps.
Oh yeah.
And people pulling overweight loads that don't have permits.
Well, I saw a couple of those log trucks.
Mm-hmm.
They looked look, I'm no expert by any means, but I've watched Final Destination enough to know you don't want to get by. But a couple of times, even Robin commented, there was two in particular that you had the trees on them,
Had a lot
but
of
they looked
heavy.
very heavy.
Now,
I mean, I'm not an expert,
It's hard,
but
to tell.
I
what
will-
the
it
weight
looked
is.
rough.
I will tell you this.
Mhm,
Now, the limit is 80,000 pounds.
mhm.
Agriculture, especially in the state of North Carolina and South Carolina,
You get
is
by with a lot.
90,000 pounds. But North Carolina has 4 stipulations over that 90,000 pounds on agriculture. That is corn, logs,
Mhm.
it don't cover rock. And the stipulation is the truck has to be a certain length. The trailer has to be a certain length. You cannot run interstate.
And it has to be a
And
secure
you
load.
cannot have go across a low weight bridge. All of them have to be secured.
That's
now,
right.
And that's why now say used to they throw chains across it and use a binder. Don't do that. It use a strap. As long as you got those 2 straps
Mhm.
across or 4, you're secure because you had so much trouble. And right there on 53 and 50, it happened one time. The guy, a log slid right out of the log truck
See, that's
and the
my
car
fear.
behind it and went right through the windshield,
That's
right
my
between
fear.
him and his wife. Yeah, it is. Do not follow a log truck.
No, I will pass one quick and
Stay
yeah,
away from.
yeah.
And you just
I just
it
pull over and
happens.
get me a Pepsi somewhere.
Yeah,
Well, they were all.
Yeah, that's-
Rayford, I want to tell you,
I do that.
took
too.
your advice, and I want to thank you for it. Went down 53 instead of trying to go through Hampstead.
makes
So
a
from
lot
here
of
on out,
difference, doesn't
I
it?
will not go to Wilmington anymore down 17 until they fix Hampstead.
that's,
I will continue. I don't want to say it on
That's
air, but
fine
people are
with
going
you.
to start doing it. What? No traffic was awesome.
They won't do it.
Forget I
because
said
they
that.
won't
we
longer.
we have had.
I just tore it up.
They just finished 53. At one time, it was bad, and I had
Oh,
I
it
had a
was
lady
awesome.
call me one day. She was crying. She had just got off I-40, got on 53, and traffic backed up. She called me. She said, "Fix this." I said, "Can you get back on the interstate?" "Yes." I said, "Get back on the interstate." I said, "I want you to go to exit 385. That's Highway 41."
Yep.
Yep.
And I said, "You get on Highway 41, and when you get to Chinky Pen, Highway 41 veers to the left. You stay straight on 111. It'll take you right on by the airport. What?
Yep, it will.
And it will. It's
111
15
veers
I've
to
been
the
that way.
left.
I've been that way before
But
to get there.
53,
Yeah.
the only thing, I mean, it's you do have some slow traffic once in
There
a
was
while.
no
But
traffic
you
on Friday or Monday.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was
if
great.
if you get later when they start bringing in a lot of crops, tobacco and whatever,
Yep.
it depends upon the time of day. You got
Yeah.
to be careful early morning and late afternoon
Yeah.
because they're going to be hauling farm to market
Yeah.
tractors
Mhm.
or whatever they.
Yeah,
or
they'll
whatever.
drive those.
And those things are running, what our breakneck speed of 21 miles
Yep,
per
just
hour.
about
Yeah.
21. And the reason you see a lot of that, the reason you see a lot of these big tractors on the road and the combines,
Mhm.
this is the simple reason. Tires are cheaper than permits.
Yep.
And they'll
Well,
tell
that
you
makes
you
sense,
can
yeah.
drive it down the road. And a lot of these big combines, they have a trailer where they'll unhook the head onto a trailer and he'll pull the trailer and he's running the combine down the road. But you got these farmers over in Jones County, they 10,000 acres in Onslow and Duplin and
Yep.
all that, and they're running up and down the road. And
You just got
that's why-
you got to know your timing when you do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm
and
gonna-
school buses. That's the
Yeah,
only
I
thing
was
don't
worried
worry.
about school. Wasn't nothing. So
Yeah.
it was all about it.
Certain time of the day,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about it. After 9, I tell everybody, if you're going down 53, you go and about 5 a.m. in the morning,
Mhm.
and then after 9 a.m.
Yeah.
and don't travel it from 2 to 5. Now on Friday, on 53, right there at the corner of 53 and 50, it's a
Mhm.
four-way
I know
stop
where
now.
it is. Yeah.
You got all that traffic coming
Yes.
on 50 trying to get to the beach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it will be backed
Yeah.
up because everybody's taking turns.
Yeah.
And that's the only other problem you'll have.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
53
we have-
is the way to go.
And 53 has a blueberry farm that's currently open.
Yeah.
So I have to.
That,
I'm gonna have to
that
road
kind of
trip it out.
blueberry farm is up and
Yeah,
down
we
that
did.
road.
But
for a
Keep
while.
you on
yeah,
blueberries. Yeah.
yep.
You know
we
what I'm
sure
talking about. It's
do.
open. Had to go open
It's
sign. All right. Go.
Well, Redford,
Look at
after
that.
weather, I've got some exciting news on an update for one of our veterans here in Onslow County. So
Cool. Good. Good stuff.
make sure, yes, good stuff.
That's good.
Okay, weather us up.
And then I got
Weather us
something
up.
else to talk about
Weather
too.
us up.
Small craft advisory is in effect. It's going to be that way through this afternoon. Offshore out to 20 nautical miles. It's going to be about the same as it's been most of the week. 15 to 20 knot winds from the south today with gusts to 25. Southwesterly 10 to 15 later in the afternoon. Seas kind of big, 5 to 7. If you can get through the inlet, which you probably should not be going if you got a small boat, 3 to 5 footers near shore, but it's going to be sloppy. You're going to be sick as a dog. You can expect some 6-foot waves, about 8 seconds apart. Sounds and rivers choppy, diminishing to a moderate chop in the afternoon. There is a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow. Northwesterly winds around 5 knots, becoming southwesterly in the afternoon. 3 to 4 footers better. And then sounds and rivers are going to be flat, increasing to a light chop in the afternoon on Thursday. A slight chance of thunderstorms in the mornings. Friday, southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots. They'll kick up a little bit, 15 to 20. Some gusts to 25. Be careful in the afternoon. 3 to 5 footers will be the norm. Sounds and rivers, a moderate chop, increasing to choppy in the afternoons. Again, showers possible in the morning, then likely with some thunderstorms in the afternoon.
We got a lot going on. Showers and thunderstorms today. Otherwise, in between. Mostly cloudy, high of 81. Up to an inch of rain today. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms only at 30% for night, which is so weird. It's like the rain just rests at nighttime.
Not last night.
I know. Low of 68. Then tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a high of 85, and it's going to take a little break tomorrow. But on Thursday, tomorrow night, it's going to start to kind of wind back in with the low of 66 with showers and thunderstorms. And Friday, it's going to rain, looks like all day. High of 83. Friday night, a little more the same. 80%. Yep, showers and thunderstorms. But Saturday, the sun is going to come
Finally.
out. It's
We
going to
hope
be
so.
82. Yes.
Ospreys have their opener.
Yep.
Their,
Saturday.
Yes, yes.
Okay, what
It
you
should
got?
be
Kid?
good for
Okay.
Saturday.
I just got this information. A bill recently introduced in Congress would upgrade a silver Star Medal to a Medal of Honor for a
Yay.
recon Marine who fought through severe
Anybody
injuries
we know?
while under attack on a mission in the jungles of Vietnam in 1967. Retired Major Jim Capers,
Yay.
received the Silver Star in 2010 for those actions, but supporters believe his valor deserves the nation's highest military honor. House Resolution 3377, sponsored by Representative Ralph Norman, who's a Republican out of South Carolina, was filed and coupled with a letter to President Donald Trump on May 13 and remains in the House's Armed Services Committee as of Monday. The
Well
letter
deserved.
signed in
Well deserved.
February by 6 U.S. senators and 41 representatives details Capers' actions and asks the president to review the award for the purpose of an upgrade.
We got another one here that
Awesome.
our friend Mr. Legato has been pushing for. We
Mhm.
need to continue that.
Yes.
So hopefully this will spark, give a little bit more impetus to Legato to get, let's get her done. Got to get her done.
Well, this man, he's been on our show.
Yep.
We've read his book.
He's a
We've
great
reviewed
guy.
it. He has meetings, and hopefully I'll make the next one. Capers Foundation. This man is extraordinary.
Mhm.
And to be shot 13 times in Vietnam
Yeah.
makes it back to the soil of the U.S. base. I think it was
And
in Germany or
getting
whatever,
shot is not what
to
he
be
gets.
urinated on. And,
Getting shot 13 times is not what he gets an award for. It's what he did.
but that's right.
The
He
actions
kept
that
on.
the proactive.
Right.
part of
He
what-
kept on and he got his troops to safety.
Yes, he
And
did.
this is an extraordinary man. And I am just
Pleased as punch.
so pleased over
Y'all
this.
got to run.
Okay,
See that
Jimmy.
doctor.
La Doctor.
I enjoyed it.
La doctor.
I will let y'all know when I can be here again. I thoroughly
Okay.
enjoyed it.
Just
Y'all
let
be
me know.
sweet, be good,
I'll
be
be as
careful.
best we can.
I know y'all miss me because I
Miss you
I
already.
miss myself sometimes when I'm sleeping.
I'll miss you. Even if I'm shooting at you, I'll miss you
Okay.
intentionally.
I
You'll be all right.
Miss me because I know you can shoot.
You've just heard.
I can't.
You don't know.
We'll see.
It was bound to happen. We see legal ads all over the internet, all over the boob tube. We see these ads everywhere, right? If you or a loved one has been the victim of asbestos poisoning, if you lived or were stationed aboard Camp Lejeune in the past, if you were a motorist that was in a wreck involving an 18-wheeler, if a piece of an old satellite hits you as it re-enters Earth's atmospheres, there are lawyers specializing and promoting their specialized services to cover any of these events, and they're looking for you. Well, here's another one. A North Carolina firm, likely one of a growing number, advertising their services if you were injured in a wreck involving a rideshare provider. Yep, Hitch a Ride, Uber, or any of the other services like that Uber. Get hurt if the driver is involved in a wreck. Doesn't matter who's at fault. Look for a specialist in the legal profession, and voila, you may be eligible for some money. What's next? A lawyer who goes after owners of pit bulls when one of their critters goes after a peeping Tom in the middle of the night? There are already specialty attorneys who are going after gun owners and including gun manufacturers if their gun is used in the commission of a crime, and attorneys who look at so-called stand your ground cases seeking to attempt to circumvent the rulings and sue the person who would not flee the home when some dude who was breaking in choosing to shoot the crook and causing him mental distress. Oh, poor baby, you broke into my house and I wouldn't get out, so I shot you, and now I didn't kill you, so now you're going to sue me for your mental anguish. There are lawyers wanting to do that. I'd love to see, here's what I'd love to see. You ready?
Right.
I'd love to see a lawyer who goes after crooks for damages inflicted to the mental well-being of their victims. You break into my house, you cause me mental stress. I should be able to sue you and your next of kin and everybody else and who's ever associated themselves with you and called you a friend. I should be able to sue them for a lot of money. But my favorite, I like to see lawyers go after the parole boards that release violent criminals back into society, criminals who commit additional crimes against innocent and oftentimes defenseless victims. We need a lawyer who specializes in going after a parole board. We'll keep more bad people in prison if we do that and won't have to rearrest them and won't have to get other people hurt because they've been paroled.
I understand that.
That's my thought process about
Kathy Marks.
going after all of that. Okay, is this really Kathy today? Do you think is this Kathy? Do you think
I'm
this
going
is
to call her
Kathy?
Kathy today.
Okay, hey Kathy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. This is the real Kathy because we're going to talk about a little bit about Reach Across America here.
Yes.
They were just talking about the pin that they were giving out for the those that served in the Vietnam War.
Uh-huh.
Well, I want everybody to know that Reach Across America is pinning every one of their veterans who served in the Vietnam War, and they're receiving a presidential letter.
Oh, cool.
So anybody that we have, and matter of fact, we have a bike run coming up, and we are considering doing that, calling who have served over there, and I'm going to try to get the congressman to help me. He'll start at one end, I'll start at the other end. We'll meet in the middle, but we're going to pull them all up and pin them as part of our bike run.
I like that. You guys were doing that at an event that we all attended a couple of 3 months ago too. So that is wonderful. These guys, the only recognition so many of them got were by protesters standing at the airports as they were arriving.
Yep.
In their whatever uniforms they had left coming home. And
They
getting
call
the
them baby
booze, the
killers
baby
and-
killers,
Yep.
and they throwing stuff at them, doing all sorts of things. And, and I just never forget some of those individuals
Right.
that I looked in the faces
Yep.
of. They're some of the scum of the earth,
Yeah,
Yep.
it was really sad, and it was horrific because if you look at the reception that our service members are getting now
Yeah.
when they come back from Iraq and everything, it's got to hurt these Vietnam veterans. Back then they didn't get crap. They got pardon the word. Maybe I don't say it.
Yeah.
They got pooped on. How's that?
Yes, they did.
But I am going to also tell or ask everybody in the crowd after we get done to welcome them all home the way they should have been welcomed home 50 years. So we're going to see if we can get the crowd to do that and give them a big applause. Then we'll get back to the bike run stuff. So
Yep.
I just thought I'd throw that in there. A
Well, Kathy,
little bit of.
Glad
Yes.
you guys are doing that,
Yes.
and you guys are stepping up. You have stepped up to the plate and continue stepping up to the plate, and you're reaching for higher levels. So good for you. Thank you.
Yes, sir, we are. We are trying to do everything that we can, for our veterans and our service members, because that's what it's about. Reach Across America is about our veterans and our active duty service members, because sooner or later they're going to be, in the veteran cemetery. But it's just a passion. And I just saw that idea last night, and I'm like, oh, I got to hurry and email or text Tim and see if he's willing to start at one end, and I started the other end. So, but yeah, the coordination, whatever he is, the coordination guy down there, Harley, Tim, he thought that was a really great idea. He's like, I might even have to come out for that one.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
hopefully the congressman will be able to attend, and you've got another really cool Vietnam vet around here.
Who's that?
He was a survivor of the Tet Offensive. I know you know what the Tet Offensive was. 30 days of at the Battle of Fort Way. And he's one of our local guys here. I think he was a corporal at the time. And he was shot. He was wounded. He's a resident of Jacksonville. He's an author. He's a retired FBI agent. And he's a good friend of ours.
Okay.
He might be a person that could help you at some of these events.
Do you want to give me his name later on?
I will send the name and telephone number to you.
Okay, you got my number.
We got it.
We got your
Okay.
We got your
we
number.
got your number.
We got both your
You
names
got my
too.
Number.
You got
I
your
know, that's what's scary.
yeah,
I'll tell you what's even scarier. I'll tell you what's even scarier. Everybody asks Chris, how are you doing? And he says, any better, there'll be two of me. Now that's frightening.
There are two of him, at least. One of them's got to take care of the other one. And I know who's taking care of whom.
Yeah. He's got like 12 little people running around in his brain. And it's like one of them's got to stop at one point and get one thing done, and then the other one's got to stop. But he just bounces from one thing to another, because they're all good causes.
Yes.
It's
hard to turn down some of these people that are requesting your help. You're finding that out,
right.
I'm sure.
Yes,
as so many other folks do too. But it's good that you do, and staying focused is tough at times because everybody deserves. They deserve it. They want it. They deserve some help. But
well, Chris tells me, he said, even when we were on vacation, Kathy, you thought about Reach Across America.
Of course,
you did not take a vacation. He said next vacation, do not think about them. We've got it covered. It's going to be fine. So I just try to keep pumping it up. I'm the events coordinator, and I'm pushing everything that I can. So
okay. Well, good.
Yep. So,
keep pushing.
Yep.
We're here. We'll help you.
Okay.
We'll give you an audience, and we need to start reaching out to some other locations. People can give you some publicity. So the squeaky wheel will get only the squeaky wheel will get the oil.
Yeah.
You got it.
Well, we would appreciate that, and we appreciate everything that you do, and Kelly and Lee. I can't say how much that we really thank you guys for putting it out there for us on the air. It means a lot to us. You're probably our number one go-getter. Well, maybe number two, because I may be one. But you guys put it out for us, and it's for the public to hear, and it gives us one push, and that's what we need. We need to push, to get this thing taken care of. So, but I just want to call and say, happy Hump Day, and to let them know about the pins, that we do more than just the reach, that we also do the pinning, and just to thank you guys for what you do.
All right, thank you. We appreciate it, and thank you.
Well, you're very welcome.
Kathy, thank you.
Chris,
take care.
too.
Okay,
What'd you call her?
Yeah, I said thank you, Kathy, and thank Chris too. And I've got a news press, a press release that just came out.
Okay.
If you want to hear
Do
about
tell.
it, it's the Jacksonville Onslow Economic Development Board.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, their executive director, Mark Sutherland, has resigned his position. He started his tenure with Joed back in 2018 and was promoted to executive director in 2019.
What's he going to do? What's Mark
I
up
don't
to?
know. For those of you that don't know what Joed does, that's their little short name for Jacksonville Onslow Economic Development. It's a nonprofit organization that was organized in 1970 with a mission to recruit new businesses, investments, create jobs, and support in industrial growth in Onslow County. So,
Still would love to see them get somebody like Colt Arms in here.
well, I had a friend of mine who's thinking about building several businesses like a strip mall, and she was
a strip. What?
not that kind of strip mall, right?
Okay.
And she was asking me who she could talk to, and I directed her to Joed because I believe they can offer grants and stuff if you meet a certain criteria, because that's their mission and their goal is to bring businesses into Onslow County.
Okay.
I know they work with the county commissioners on this, but I hope Mr. Seth, I wish him the best.
Yeah, me too. We'll see who's going to take his place.
Yes, it's going to be very interesting.
We have Charlie again?
Yes.
Okay, Charlie, you're back.
Unfortunately, it's Charlie. Hey, did you guys touch base on President Donald Trump pardoning?
Yes, we went. We spent about 5 minutes.
Yes,
on
we
it.
did.
We did.
What's really bizarre about that? I was talking to somebody and I said, whether you cheat $1 on your taxes or $500 billion on your taxes, you're a cheat. There's no difference. If you knowingly cheat on your taxes, there's no difference. I've cheated on my taxes. Technically, I probably go to jail. Technically, I should, I've gotten tips. I've sold things that I was probably supposed to, proclaim. And I'm just curious, So I missed your topic. Do you really think evidently they had a relationship with Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, Laura Trump?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I just, my questions were, did they do the crime? Yes. Did they get a fair sentence within the parameters of the law? Yes. Then why turn them loose? That's my bottom line.
Can I ask you a question?
If all of the legal avenues were exhausted, they'd already been through the gamut for the last 2 years or so. And everybody in the legal end said, yes, they got a trial like they were supposed to get, and they did commit the crime, yada, yada, yada. And no doubts, and there's no doubt should they be pardoned. And
They still have some appeals pending.
Well, then let it go through the legal system.
Why not go this way?
Why?
Why not?
Why
What's
would
the
you?
whole purpose of a pardon?
No, that just cuts that. You interfere with the legal process when you do that.
But sometimes people are not fairly sentenced.
That's what the appeals process is for.
Sometimes people are unjustly accused.
That's what they were found guilty, and they were pretty well.
Yes,
they're
they
guilty.
were.
Yeah, they're
Sometimes politics and other adversaries do play a role in the
guilty.
sentencing.
And sometimes a satellite's going to come down and hit somebody.
Yeah, that could happen.
I don't think not everybody that's been found guilty is guilty. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
You don't-
I'm right there
you
with
don't
you,
think
Kelly.
that you can
I've learned a
feel-
lot.
Unless you can point out some exact cases and the reasons.
I
and
can, but
evidence to
it's
the
in the middle
contrary.
of appeal process, so I'm not going to because I'm actually directly involved in the case.
Okay,
But
well,
I'm here to
Okay.
say I fully believe that not everybody found guilty is guilty. And
then they-
that's all I'm
then-
going to
Can I
say.
ask you
Then they have the process,
Can I
legal
ask-
processes to prove
Can
it.
I ask you another question?
Sure, you're going to.
I've received money that I should have been taxed on, but I did not claim that on my taxes. Have any of you guys ever received money that you should have claimed on your taxes and you did not claim on your taxes? This is a yes or no question.
Well, first, let me ask you a question then. Was that money in excess of $600?
It doesn't matter if it's $1 or
Yes, it does.
$1,000.
It does.
You either lie or you don't lie.
Yeah.
No. You
No.
either lie or you don't lie.
No. Was it in excess of $600? You do not
It
have.
doesn't
You
matter.
do not have to claim it if it's not in excess of $600.
So is that what the law is?
Yes.
If it's under $600, you don't have to claim it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're cheating. I'm a cheat. I'm a liar. I'm a thief. I'm just as guilty as
Then
they are.
send them a check for the amount that you think you owe.
I think it's like
No, but I
28%.
should be in jail. So, okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to be able to sell it to you. You guys don't get where I'm going with this, so it doesn't matter.
No, I mean,
You're either a cheat, you're either honest to the core, or you're slightly dishonest.
I have to say,
you
Charlie,
gotta be fully honest.
there are things that we've all done that we shouldn't have done. That's like breaking traffic laws and speed laws on the highway. How many people can honestly say they've never sped?
Nobody.
Nobody said, Rayford. I agree. I mean, we've all
No, but
done
I was
things.
just interested. Listen, I actually Googled earlier that how many prisoners are there in the U.S. right now,
Mhm.
and they said there's over 2 million people in jail right now in the U.S. I don't know. I've never done like horrific things in my life to like humans or animals or whatever, but I've done things where I'm not ashamed that I'm ashamed of. Where maybe I should have gone to jail for a day or maybe 6 or 7, 8 days. We've all done things in our past, you know. I don't
Yes, we
know. I
have.
just think it's bizarre because Trump had a relationship with these people and he's pardoning them. I don't think it's fair that they're pardoned. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I
Maybe I'm
will
wrong.
say they're not hardened criminals. They broke the law, yes. They're paying the price, yes, but they're not hardened criminals.
Well, according to their conviction, they were convicted over $36 million in fraud. So what's the difference between 36 million and 5 cents? What is the difference?
There are laws. If you're waiting for a response, there are all sorts of stipulations when it comes to sentencing, especially, and the severity of the crime.
Right.
Let me just give you a really quick example. North Carolina law, I know more about, okay, because I had to enforce it, had to study it. North Carolina law, if somebody breaks into my house, I'm not here, and they just break into the house, look around, they don't take anything, they're going to be arrested and charged with misdemeanor breaking and entering unless I catch them. But it's called a misdemeanor. $500 fine, up to 6 months in jail. If they break into my house and they go into my bathroom and they find my pocket comb on the dresser and they say, hey, I could use that. That because it becomes breaking and entering and larceny, which is a felony, regardless of the profit or the amount of the stuff that they stole. That is a felony. Different sentencing. You understand what I'm saying here? The amount in most cases does not make a difference until it comes to sentencing. Now, the guy that breaks in and steals my pocket comb, if he's found guilty of a felony, he'll probably have to serve 30 days in prison somewhere or whatever at the most, unless it's first offense. If he breaks into my house and he steals $1,000 and 100 guns, he's going to prison. You understand the difference there?
I guess my point is lying is lying, cheating is cheating, stealing is stealing. And then in some people's minds are like, you know what? They can justify it. No, I'm a liar. I'm a cheater. I'm a stealer. I'm a fraud.
And I understand where you come from, but there's not any such thing as black or white. There are shades of both. That's called gray.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
In the gray area is where we are different than we kill everybody we chop the guy's hands off if he stole something. We are not black and white. We are in the gray area. Steal something, we don't cut your hands off.
Listen. Yeah, but there's people that are in jails right now or prison that they probably just. I remember. Listen, I'm not going to waste you guys' time. But I remember Joe Biden gave a speech like 25 years ago, and he talked about the crack epidemic. I think I brought this up on your show. You can go on YouTube, you can type in Joe Biden and crack. And he gave this speech in front of Congress and the Senate, and he showed a quarter, and he goes, if you're caught with the size of a quarter of crack cocaine, you're going to jail for a minimum of 10 years. This was the 1980s. Guess who was doing more crack in the 1980s than white people? Black people. White people were doing cocaine. There was a slap on the wrist. So blacks were being sent to jail for crack cocaine a minimum of 10 years. It ruined the black lives. Listen, I can go on forever about this. I'm not sure you guys understand what I'm getting at, but I just think a crime is a crime. A crime is a crime.
There were in the 1980s, I know because I spent 6 months undercover at one period of time in the 1980s. And there were white people selling crack, buying crack, smoking crack.
Yeah, mostly they were black.
I'm not going to say mostly anything. You weren't there. You have no clue. I was there.
No, I have research. I have research and I have an educational mind to back up what I've read. And I've
okay, you can say all you want. You weren't on the streets. I was. And I know that there were people who were white. In fact, most of the people I arrested were white.
A few, mostly blacks, but mostly blacks.
The most of the people I went to undercover campaign were white. That's a fact, Jack.
For crack cocaine or cocaine? For crack or
cocaine? Well, it was crack, it was cocaine, it was heroin.
No. There's a difference between crack and cocaine.
I said it was crack. I said there was cocaine, heroin, and then there was prescription drugs. I got them for that too. Pot, got them for that too. So, yeah, it's all there. It was there, and it was done by all races. I'm not sure what part of the world you live in other than L.A., but, you need to get into the real world sometime, Charlie.
I was adopted as a child, and my foster family was black. And I studied the history of certain, what black, the injustices that they've had to deal with. And just go watch Joe Biden in his speech. I'm telling you, lots of white people in the 80s did cocaine. Lots of blacks did crack.
Yeah, and lots of white people went to prison for doing cocaine and selling cocaine.
Not as many. I'm not going to fight you on this.
Good, because you're going to lose. You don't have facts. I do. I was there. You weren't there. You were smoking crack somewhere, or you weren't doing what I was doing. If you'd been in my turf, you would have been in jail. You understand that, right? If you'd have been doing what I know you were doing back then, you in my turf would have been in jail. As a white man.
So you telling me that whites were doing just the amount of crack, not cocaine, but crack as black back in the 80s?
It started in the black community and it spread just like heroin. Hold on. Just like heroin started in the 1920s. The black community was primarily up until oh, it got to be kind of on the popular side, especially when you can mix a little heroin because your Coke was not giving you enough high. You know what they call that? They call it an 8-ball. And then the white people were using that just like the black people were using straight up heroin. The white people just didn't think it was as bad. It was heroin. It did not matter. They still went to prison.
Okay, so you know what? I'm going to do a little more research. From my understanding, back in the mid 80s, early 80s, more black people in the black community, for whatever reason, or for I can't explain it,
because it was
they
cheap.
were much more. They were doing crack cocaine. Whites were doing just pure
it was
sniff,
cheap.
Sniff, sniff, sniff.
It was cheap, and they were also selling it to lower income level Caucasians, and especially those hookers that walk the streets. And you know what we used to call them, right?
No, what were they called?
Crack hoes.
Crackos.
Okay, so you don't think when you use the word crack hoe for anyone over the age of 40, if you said, listen, that's a crack hoe, most people over the age of 40, whether they're black, white, Asian, Methodist, Baptist, Jews, they would say, oh, that's probably a black person.
Well, you can say probably anything you want to say. I don't care what you probably want to say.
I'm just being realistic with you.
I was there.
I've lived a life. I can't listen. I'm not trying to sell you anything. But
Okay. All right. We got to go, Charlie. Goodbye.
Bye, Charlie. Mercy.
I can read on the internet anything I want to read. I can do all the research I want to say, and you can find 40 different research projects that are going to come up with 40 different results. Yes. African American community was where the crack cocaine got its start. Okay, it spread. Heroin, predominantly black, but not anymore. It's just a fact of life. Okay, and yeah, cocaine was supposed to be a lesser product, and so a lot of and of course it cost money. Crack cocaine didn't cost anything. It was cheap compared to cocaine. You do powdered cocaine, that costs money. Robin knows.
Mm-hmm.
He understands.
True.
Well, that's like
Some can come off as an expert who have not a clue, except what they may have read somewhere.
well, that's a problem, and I see that, and I have some family members that any story that comes up that they read, they automatically take it as being the gospel, and you've got to read. If it's a subject that you really believe in or you're interested in or whatever, you've got to research. Some of these news organizations that you've never heard of are news organizations that started in a basement, a couple people, let's make a news channel.
Yeah, they can find anything they want to find and call it a fact.
Exactly.
The 2 million
right.
people that he mentioned that are in prison, I don't know. I haven't checked the population
I
of
didn't hear
prisons
all the
today.
stories.
It's
so.
2 million people in prison. Let's say there are 2 million
Right.
people. You know what I call them? People who are not out there committing crimes. We know they're bad people.
Right.
We know they're crooks.
Right.
But there are 2 million of them, if that's the correct number. There are 2 billion of them that will not commit any crimes. There are 121 people on death row in North Carolina right now that will not commit murder again.
Exactly. We hope not anyway.
Unless our esteemed governor pardons them.
Exactly. Let me see. I had a couple
Well,
I got to say
messages
something
for
good about
y'all.
Josh.
About Josh? Our Governor Josh?
Yeah.
What?
I
He
really
ordered
don't-
the flags, the North Carolina flag, to be
Yes.
flown at half mast for Memorial Day.
I was going to say, that's
Because
a
we
good
have,
thing.
because in North Carolina we have so many, he said, so many veterans, so many members of the armed forces that are active. We all have lost people. And
Well,
we
that's
are a
good. I'm
military
glad he
state.
did
I'm
that.
glad he did
We
it.
are a military
That is the
state.
one thing that I will give him kudos for. I know he's probably done other things, but I saw that Monday and I said, yes, good for him. And I forgot to mention it yesterday. Okay.
Okay, well, Saturday is June 1st.
First day of
Hurricane
X
season.
season. We're just going to call it the Red X season. How's that?
Yeah.
There are none out there right now. I've already checked this morning.
I did too. I was on Tropical Tidbits taking a look at all their invests that they have listed.
It is Saturday, right?
So
No,
far,
Sunday.
Sunday,
I'm
it's
sorry,
Sunday.
Sunday. Why am I?
That's
keeping this?
right,
I've said
that's
that 3
right.
times.
I just went
Here-
ahead
here-
and
here's
paid.
the only thing you got to be concerned
Yeah.
about right here. Nothing, honey.
Well, nothing yet. No. And the only reason I'm bringing it up, not because I think there's a
It's not gonna
hurricane going,
happen.
is everybody getting their
I started
hurricane
buying.
kits prepared.
I started buying some of
Yeah.
my canned goods and stuff this past week.
Mhm.
And I was telling my sister, I said, we'll start
Mhm.
because I cleaned out the cupboard for the Postal Service's
Yes.
food drive.
Mhm.
It was all good food, but now I need to go buy some
Yeah,
stuff
everybody
and
needs
get
to start
ready.
getting their kits together. Yeah. So
Yep. And we need to probably touch a little bit on it each week.
Yeah, we will. And those who are in the know, and I take long range forecasts with a grain of salt.
Mhm.
They say this is going to be an above normal. Well,
Well, they said that last year,
number
too.
one, what is normal now?
That's
I
right.
do not know
Yeah.
what normal
Yeah.
is. We got an above normal amount of rain. Well, what is the normal amount? Oh, over what period of time? I don't.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell me what normal is anymore.
Well, I've misplaced some of my hurricane lanterns. So I got to go get me some more.
What did they
Yeah.
get their name? Do you
These
know?
things are bright.
I have all mine
Yeah.
in
I
a
had some good
particular.
ones.
I take the
did. I had them in
batteries
a
out
spot,
of
girl.
them, and then I
And
put
my
them
spot
in a
is
thing
gone.
Are
in
they
my
lanterns
garage.
or lamps?
Huh?
I'm
Are they lanterns or lamps?
They're lantern. You pull them up. These things came from Amazon and they are
Yeah.
bright as heck. Trust me, I've used them on the
They're
power.
battery
went out.
powered.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, they're not real hurricane anything.
No, these are just
These are
the
battery
ones I want.
powered
They are
lanterns.
super bright. You could cook and play board games with it.
Okay.
That's all I
That's
want.
right. That's
I gotta
right.
find them. I had some. These were nice.
I have a bunch
They're
of them
gone.
too.
Yeah,
And I keep them all in one place, but every year I add to them.
Yeah, I got to. Well, now I got to replenish and add to.
Yes.
I don't know if I let somebody borrow them. If when I cleaned my garage, I changed my spot around. I just don't know. And that could be. Oh, you know what? Might have been when the snake skin was in there. So that might explain why I can't find it.
Hurricane lamps, by the way, the kerosene lamps.
Mhm. Oh, I don't want
I don't
anything.
use
Like
those.
Robbie's got a bunch of them in there.
I'll set my house on fire.
Mhm.
They originated in the British India during the 18th century, where they were called India shades or candle shades. These lamps were designed to shield a flame from drafts and winds, and they were particularly popular in the South compared to New England.
Well, yeah.
The first reference to these lamps in the United States was in 1775 in an advertisement from the Philadelphia Glass Works. Chicago Tribune in 1998. They said the name for these lanterns, they were called lamps. They're not lanterns. Were called they were kerosene lamps.
Yeah.
From way back when. That's how my mother and his family lit their houses back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
The name is a reference to the glass shade's ability to protect candle flames from sudden drafts, blowing the wind. The term hurricane lamp is kind of misleading. Hurricane is a name for a tall, cylindrical, or barrel-shaped glass dome placed around a candlestick to protect it from the breezes or the wind that's
Which
blowing
makes
through.
sense.
It can be around a candle.
Yeah.
It can be around a lamp. It could be whatever.
My mom has some of those at her house, and
She-
they've even got the kerosene out of them.
Yeah, Robbie's got a bunch of them. Originals,
Yeah.
not just the new thing you buy on Amazon. That was cute. One more Lisa does. Will Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Cool story about Will Rogers. He grew up in the day, and then he went to New York, and
Yeah.
he went into a hotel. And of course, he grew up with kerosene lamps
Okay.
in the 20s. Kerosene lamps. Kerosene lamp, you pick up the lift the shade up, or put your hand over the top of the shade, blow it down in it so the wind goes down and puts the lamp out, right?
Right.
He goes in there, next time he goes in there, they've been replaced by gas lamps,
Oh.
Right.
Yeah,
and
maybe
they were
like
lit,
that.
right?
Right.
And so he tried his best to blow it out.
Mhm.
Could not blow that thing out. They huffed, they puffed, they finally put something over the top of it, and it went out. They almost died
Well, yeah.
because the gas was still coming out. It just
Correct.
wasn't burning.
Yeah.
They had a problem, he and whoever else was there.
Uh-huh.
Next time he goes, they've gone to electricity. This is in his book. I read his book years and
Okay.
years ago, decades ago. And he said, go there the next time. And then everything was wired and it was electricity. And I tried to blow that sucker out. I tried to do everything in the world to turn it, to get it to go out.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't. And I said, I'm not taking any chances. He opened the drawer, put the lamp in the drawer and closed the drawer so he couldn't see it. It wasn't lighting up the room that
So
way.
he didn't know that he had
He
to
didn't know he
flip
could
the
unplug
switch.
it or flip the switch or anything
Oh
else.
my! I'm gonna need him not to.
Steve calling.
All right. Well, I have to go to work.
We have 1 minute.
Steve calling. Hey, Steve, we're near the end.
Hey,
What's up?
Steve.
Hey guys, good morning.
Good
How are you?
morning.
I got quite a show today.
Why?
Yeah.
I've got to remember to send you a picture later on. I've already got one big zucchini and a squash, and I'm going to send you a picture. I'm so
Pictures, you
happy.
can't eat pictures.
No, but I
Send
had
me
to
the
send him.
real
He is my gardening guru. He's got a lot of good information.
I'm gonna tell you now that is quite a compliment sitting next to Rayford. there.
No, I'm not a gardening guru. I just plant the stuff and hope it comes to fruition.
Steve will send me
That's
pictures.
kind of what I do as well, Rayford.
Mm.
But I've been lucky the last couple of years, I'll say.
Yeah, last year sucked for me, except for tomatoes and peppers.
Last couple
I'm a
years.
little worried this year. I'll be honest with you. My garden's kind of going in reverse. I got tomatoes and cucumbers first instead of cayenne peppers first.
Okay.
And so normally I get the cayenne peppers as first thing, or radishes if I plant them. But yeah, everything's in reverse this year. And I didn't amend the soil like I normally do. I didn't put quite as much into it as I normally do. So I'm a little iffy on that. I didn't put no bone meal and nothing like that in there this year. So
I did some
We'll
bone
see.
meal early on, but I haven't done any since. So I'm a wait and see thing too.
I put some fresh garden soil and some cow manure compost in. So I did a little something, but not what I normally do. So
Well, I use donkey. I do use donkey manure because our buddy Tim, the donkey man, brought me 3 big buckets
so
of it.
yeah, you got a hook up on that.
I got a hook up on it. I had a yard full of poop there for a while.
Yeah. Hey, a quick note. I heard one of your previous callers talking about, a lie is a lie and a crime is a crime.
Yes.
And I would like to interject that there's like you said, there's shades of gray. There's people who accidentally stumble across the line, didn't really mean to.
Yep.
And then there's malice and forethought.
Yep.
And that's really the dividing line, I think. If somebody's, what they were talking about with the amount of money that was embezzled, those people probably had 2 sets of books. They had a criminal conspiracy going on to get to that level. So that's a little different than somebody forgetting to, they got tip some tip money somewhere along the way.
Right.
Or if you've got a clerk in a store, she or he, running a mom and pop operation, or the clerk in a mom and pop operation, palms a couple of dollars here and there. That is actually embezzlement. If you, and over a period of time, they got, let's say in a year's time, they take $2 a week. They got, $100. You're going to punish that person the same way for a felony, same felony that you're going to punish a guy in a bank who is dealing in hundreds of thousands of dollars that he's embezzling.
Just like you say, if the same person working in the mom and pop operation was their bookkeeper and they were writing checks to themselves, that's malice and forethought. And it is the same thing with the $1 or $2 here and there, but
a warrant in North Carolina, a felony warrant is going to read: did willfully, feloniously, and with malice of forethought. With malice of forethought. Those are the 3 words, 3 phrases there that you're dealing with. One phrase with 3 different elements to it.
Yeah,
Willfully,
that particular one out.
willfully, feloniously, and with malice of forethought. In other words, you're planning it. You know it's bad. You're going to do it. You're planning it.
Yeah.
Those are the things that can separate a felony from a misdemeanor, or the degree of a felony, particularly when it comes to punishment. That's why we do not feed the elements of a crime into a computer, because if they feed all of the elements of a crime into a computer and the only parameters in the computer, did you do the crime? It's a felony. Yeah. Duh. Guilty? Not guilty. Guilty. Prison sentence, 5 to 10 years. That's what you'll be given. And then let the prison system work it out as they go by.
Well, we got so many avenues to try and make things fair and just in our justice system, and it's not perfect by any means.
No.
But you know, we also have extenuating circumstances. There's everything tries to be considered.
Yeah.
You know, and that's in the interest of trying to be fair. But if we definitely aren't there,
And the
100%.
popularity of this couple that stole all this money because they were on the boob tube, and everybody loved it because they were a fabulous couple,
That's not
and
what
they
we
were
said.
friends with the Trumps.
That's not what we
that
said.
does not count a bit in my book.
Well, you're a hard
Well,
person.
and
You're negative
I was gonna say,
about
when it comes to presidential pardons in every administration, there was ones I agree with, didn't agree
there's
with.
a lot of questionable ones.
So I'll fully admit that. Even the last administration, there were pardons that I didn't agree with, but
Mhm.
Here's
the president's
my
pardon
thing.
power is absolute. So I mean, just
Here-
you got, look it up.
here's my thing with pardons. I have a real problem with one person, especially on his way out the door and having not tapped into campaign for or fear of being reelected, becoming president again. So it won't weigh on him whatsoever. I have a problem with one person deciding that he or she can make a ruling to overthrow the rulings of a district court. Let's just take a state court, a district court, a superior court. Probably in between, you're going to have from district court, you may go to the grand jury, and then to superior court, and then to a court of appeals in North Carolina, then possibly as high as the North Carolina Supreme Court. And then all of these people say, guilty. And if you can get it in the federal court for whatever reason, and they say, yes, everything was done properly, the sentence, yes, guilty, sentence was right, and they go all the way through, and even through the Supreme Court if necessary, and everybody all the way through this legal process, legal
I have a
scholars,
question.
in a minute, all these legal scholars say, yes, they did the crime, the proper, you do the time. But how can one man, not a legal scholar, I don't care if he's got a law degree, he's never used it, I don't care about that one guy making that call because of nothing but politics, and he probably isn't the one who even made the call. Some other flunky down the line
It
made the
was that
call.
auto pen. I'm telling you, but I have a question. So, what are your thoughts on prisons letting people out early due to overcrowding? They're not doing their time.
I've already told you that before.
Yeah.
What's that?
They closed prisons in North Carolina because we were letting people out too early, and we did not have enough people to fill up the prisons. They closed a lot of prison units in North Carolina. They
We're
were
talking
stupid.
Not
We were
just North
stupid.
Carolina. We're
Well,
talking across the nation.
Across
I'm
the nation
talking
too.
about when that excuse is used.
Well, that's an excuse. An excuse is not a
Yeah.
reason.
Well, when that reason
And,
is used.
I was going to say, as I go out the door, I would say on that about the presidential pardons, Rayford, is that fundamentally, then your problem is with the Constitution, and I don't disagree with you on that.
I
But that's,
understand.
what can we do about that?
Not a
Yeah.
thing. There's nothing that I would even advocate
So
that we do about it.
I
Is
was
that
gonna say
but that we choose better people to make sure they don't do it, and that includes Donald Trump.
Well, I was going to say, back to what I said, I would disagree with some of the pardons of every administration since
I
I've
would
been
too.
alive.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think that's almost take it with a grain of salt that even the people you support are going to possibly pardon people that you don't think they should have pardoned, but that's the Constitution says they can do it.
Well,
So,
there's-
everything about the Constitution ain't going to make you smile, man. There's going to be
I-
days that it works against you.
I'm not challenging
Yeah.
the Constitution. I'm not
Yeah.
challenging the constitutional right. I'm challenging the reason that somebody would be doing something like that.
Well, there's people advocating
Yeah.
right now for Trump to give P. Diddy a pardon. And
Why?
I'm like,
Because he's P. Diddy?
in my book, I say, let him go to jail.
There's always going to be somebody advocating for the
Right.
release of somebody.
Mhm.
Exactly.
There was people who wanted Manson released. They was the end.
Yeah, they were.
It's very true.
Yeah. But anyway, other than that, that was a couple points I wanted to make this
Okay.
morning. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thanks,
Stay
Steve.
dry.
You
Yep.
too. You too.
Go pull some weeds.
Bye-bye.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm sure I got a bunch of those stupid dollar
I
weeds out there
pull
by
them
now.
every day.
I do too, but I haven't for the last
Tired
couple
of
of days. I'll tell you, tomorrow we've got to have some, what are we calling it now? It's Chris Miller time, but it's Miller time and it's something else. Papa Top.
What? We have Chris Miller as
That's what I
usual
said.
on Thursday. And we also have Corporal Robert Ford with the Jacksonville Public Safety Office that's going to come in and talk about motorcycle safety.
And
So-
the motorcycle guys, 4 of them, I think they call them assessors or something like that. I'll have to pull it up.
Right.
But anyway, they're going to be offering a free class
Nice.
for people.
Nice.
You just got to have either the beginning stages of a permit, a licensed motorcycle. It's got to be properly registered,
Right.
or you got to have your permit, your motorcycle permit, to be able to come there with your motorcycle, because otherwise you'd be breaking the law. And they're going to go over safety aspects of driving a motorcycle. A lot of that's going to be defensive because, as much as, and we'll talk about it too, as much as you can ride a motorcycle, you can obey every law that's out there. When a normal motorist, pulling out of an intersection, out of a driveway, out of a parking lot, he looks to his left, he looks to his right, he looks to his left again, which is the proper procedure. And then he sees cars go by, and then there's no big old car coming. Then he pulls out, but for whatever reason, he's concentrating on looking for a car, looking for something, a normal sized vehicle. He's not looking for a motorcycle. And that, unfortunately, is what happens. They also misjudge the speed of oncoming motorcycles.
We'll have to ask him also. Jacksonville PD is also working on purchasing body cameras for the majority of their uniform officers.
Well, I don't know whether he'll know anything about that or not.
Well, he's a uniformed officer. He might
but
know something.
He doesn't handle the purchasing
see.
of that kind of stuff.
We'll ask him.
Okay, we will be talking with Corporal Ford tomorrow morning.
What
And
is he
I'm just
relation?
wondering if I'm related to him.
I just said the same thing. I wonder if he's any relation. My mother was a Ford. We have a lot of
My grandmother
Ford
was a
cousins.
Ford. We might be related.
Well, we already talked about
I
that,
know
cuz.
If it's the South Carolina group or to those from Fayetteville area or something like that, it could very well be back in the 100 years ago.
Mine are Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio.
We wouldn't go that far inland. Ugh. You're live and local Real Talk. Live and local Real Talk, where we're always awake, never woke. Have a great rest of your day. Stay dry and be ever careful if you're going to be on the road. They're slicker than a baby's butt. Bye.